Well, hello everyone and welcome back. It's been quite a while. Actually, maybe it hasn't. Maybe I'm uploading this right after the last one. But I'm back with the great Jarky Bacon and we are covering Mushoku Tensei volumes 16 and 17. Bacon, say something.
No, I say something. I'm here.
Well done.
I'm ready to rumble. I'm on mobile data. You guys have witnessed the transition of R and I in our original living spaces to moving to not moving to Ari both moving. You know, this is a transition period, folks. So I hope you guys are enjoying our dedication to getting Mushoku Tensei content out to all of you. It's more like, please, we need to record it before I forget to, forget all my points.
Before we do another session where Bacon's like, oh, I reread it. Let's do another half an hour on this. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are covering volume 16 and 17. I guess for anyone who doesn't remember at this point, 16 is... Bacon, what happens in 16? Give a recap. Very brief sentence.
Library.
True, yeah, they go to a library. And that's, believe it or not, as far as I remember, light novel exclusive. I don't remember any of that in the web novel. Now, maybe I just glossed over it and I don't remember for some reason, but yep, I think it's light novel original.
Really? So this is basically new stuff for you?
Yeah, it was kind of exciting. I was like, well, I mean, it's very interesting feeling because obviously I know that nothing too major can happen here because I'm like, okay, the volume existed without this stuff. But it was fun. I really liked it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually, these characters that I like so much are in new situations that I haven't seen before.
Did it remind you of something?
Oh, absolutely.
No correct answer. Oh, please say, please tell.
All right, it reminded me of Wan Shi Tong's library in Avatar.
Oh, yeah, baby. I literally wrote that in my note.
Yeah.
Strong Wan Shi Tong vibes.
Absolutely.
Anybody who doesn't know, that's from Avatar The Last Airbender, where there's a big old owl inside a library.
Yep.
And I'm just like, well, it is so similar, because it's like,
it has to be a reference.
You just have someone who really likes book. Maybe not, but it's like you have... not antagonist, not protagonist, just like a neutral party that is taking care of these books, and of course our heroes somehow stumble over and mess everything up. But despite any inspiration that may have been taken from this, definitely felt very different. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Regardless, it was different enough. Like Wan Shi Tong's library is more like, I think it's more not used. Anyway, there was a load of cool stuff. There was a load of little nuggets in here that I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was to kind of kick us off on a broad overview of my opinions on 16 and 17. I feel like it's a more if I imagine my emotional arc of 13, 14, and 15, particularly 14 and 15, this one would be like a more clamped at the top and at the bottom, so just a more consistent experience. So maybe not quite as wild at certain points in 14 and 15, but there's I feel like volume 16 was a more interesting volume 14. At least when you take it, I'm kind of referring more to the Tofei stuff, the tofu stuff. But then this volume took up most of it was in the library, which I thought was interesting. And despite it did feel, I guess to me, I feel like, oh, here's the episodic thing, right? That would probably be really cut down in the anime, so much so that it's not worth putting it in. Probably. It was still really good. This would be the first 6 episodes. Everybody's complaining that it's going too slow. It's actually good. Shut up.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it was really good fun. And then 17 was just wild. I wrote, I know it's good when I'm not writing notes because I actually want to read. I'm reading while I have the audiobook at 2 times speed. That's peak Mushoku Tensei. I'm because I'm making sure because it stops me from reading too fast where I'm missing all the cool details, right? That's the key thing. But I will say once again, I caught a glimpse. I tried to skip over as fast as possible. And I actually don't remember the one at the beginning of volume 18, so I'm going to just stay there. But I got spoiled on a thing later in volume 17, quite late on, which was Luke's major moment, right? Once again, I got spoiled.
You know what? I think I also got spoiled on that when I was reading through, because I remember, it's like an illustration or something, right?
You know what? I got spoiled and I didn't read the context, so I just assumed that they were going to do a Vinland Saga thing. If you remember that, where they pretend to take a hostage. But it didn't turn out that way. So anyway, we should probably focus on volume 16.
Yes. Well, let me say Bacon. You might be interested.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think, firstly, I like both of these. Volume 17 is one of my all-time favorites, actually. I like it a lot. Now, of that, I know I've said this. I don't know which video I said this in. There's like a chunk of volumes where I'm like, this is good. Like, these are some of my favorite stuff. This is the beginning of it, I think, 17. There's like...
You might be reaching peak Mushoku Tensei.
In my opinion, yes, from here onwards, it's going to be really great. But you know what? We might like different things. I'm interested to see if you like it as much as I do.
Yeah.
But yep, 17 is the start of it.
Well, I mean, it was good. What can I say? It was very good.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about 16 now first. My notes. I have a few notes, but they're just completely unorganized. Oh, one of them. This is kind of. I mean, obviously you're going to lead here because you're the one going through the first time. But one thing I wanted to say, Bacon, I'd never realized before.
No. Say more. I feel like I'm going to be, particularly if the next 17 is your favorite. I actually hope you, because I didn't write much. Like, I hope you just.
Okay, I
love making little notes about small moments, but like, I'm also making notes on like, oh, here's a new name. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like, here's the Halafast, the second prince, and Grabble's the first prince. Maybe those are names I need to know later. And all this stuff. So, feel free.
Okay, so Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation is the title.
Yes.
And now he has a job. Oh my gosh, he's working for...
Yes.
There's a chapter where he's talking about it. I'm like, oh, this is funny. I never realized that. Why is it called Jobless Reincarnation? And now he has a job. Crazy. Anyway.
Well, he's had a job before, right? He gets different jobs.
Yeah, but this one he takes it seriously, okay? This is a...
Why not?
This is a life-threatening, okay? He has to...
Well, yeah, to be fair, I'd say the whole Orsted Incorporated jokes were fantastic. That was probably some of my favorite parts. So I'm just like, me and Arrow are gonna have to make a workers' union at some point or whatever, and all this stuff. Like, it was good bands. So yeah, he no longer jobless, more like jobful.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
So, I guess the way to frame this volume 16 is it's basically entirely framed about convincing Perugius, right? Like, we're following Ariel. Ariel's trying to find the answer to, like, what is a good king? Oh, no, what is a true king? I don't remember the exact way. Something about what's a good king or king or something.
And how did they do it? Yeah, like, how did they do this in the...
That's such a good question in the web novel.
How do you remember them doing this?
The thing is, I just don't... Okay, firstly, I definitely remember the scene with Ariel and Perugius, like at the end, like where she's giving the correct answer or whatever. I don't remember. I feel like maybe the translation was really bad or something, and maybe I just like glossed over it. I don't know. Yeah, for some reason I just don't remember. I am curious. It would be so funny if people commenting right now and they're like, no, this slime stuff in the like labyrinth, that was all in the web novel. You just completely forgot about it. That'd be really funny, but it's not impossible.
Yeah. Anyway. Maybe you're just really into Minecraft at that point. I was to take us on a tangent. I was like, this is such a weird thing. So I just booted up Elden Ring Shattered the Erdtree for the first time in a while, and I was listening to like volume, I think it was maybe like volume 6 or 5 or whatever. During like I was listening to a lot of it during this time, but I went through a village which I hadn't returned to, and I was like, oh, this is the village where Rudius, Rudyard, and Eris fought Orsted. And, like, it was a weird feeling where I'm like, oh, yeah, this is where they fought them. I know they didn't fight them, but this is where I was when I was listening to them fight him.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was quite a cool experience. Like, no, I wasn't saying the actual village here was, like, where they fought him actually, but it's, like, in my mind, emotionally, that's where I think. Yeah.
Yep. Crazy. I have a similar thing with PUBG, and it's actually in volume, I don't remember what volume 6 or something, when Geese is, like, talking about cooking. I don't know why. I have this like weird thing when I walk past this place in PUBG. I'm like, oh yeah, Geese was talking about cooking here. This is crazy. Anyway,
this is amazing. That's wild. That's so fun. I love
it. It is.
Yeah.
But anyway,
okay.
Game 16. Yeah.
So here we go. The man god was using. Oh yeah. So this is like I think Rudy's going to Orsted, and Orsted's giving Lord Dump number 2, which I definitely hadn't read before last time. But yeah, so it's like the man god was using Rudy to change fate and the past. So Rudy's destiny is so powerful that it could change the course of history. And yeah, so basically that's why the man god was interested in Rudy, because Rudy had he had a lot of influence, and so if he influences Rudy, then he can change a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool. Nanahoshi and Rudy have taken Orsted's plan off track, So like basically, because since they've come into the picture at various times, they've completely ruined the timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, I know stuff gets this whole gets it's interesting. You start with this and then it gets wholly reframed in volume 17. But this is just what I'm writing at the time. And so basically, Orsted knows the future up until the Great Displacement and Rudy's reincarnation. That's why he said Eris and Luke will get married, because he's assuming Rudy doesn't appear, which is interesting. But yeah, but we kind of realize a different reason for why he can't see the future. I mean, I don't know if we should talk about it now. Maybe we talk about it later. Yeah, let's talk about it later.
All right.
Cool. And then, oh yeah, no, there was some funny bits because often Orsted is quite Orsted's just such a fun character, and seeing Rudy bounce off him, and like Orsted just like how Rudy describes his facial features, like they change over the time of this volume a lot. Like he said, like near the end, he's like, oh, he scowls, but he doesn't actually mean to scowl. It's just his normal neutral face, whatever. Like he like he's adding these caveats, but here it's like you see he's quite stern. Orsted, he's got a strong poker face, but then like Rudy starts picking at like, oh, what happened to Sylvie? What happened to Roxy? What happened to all this stuff? It's being a bit cheeky, and then like it was quite nice to see Orsted like get a bit snappy with him at some points, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah. One thing to say about Orsted, which I find kind of interesting, and I guess also through Rudius's perspective here, is kind of the unreliable narrator of Rudy thinking about like what Orsted. How do I say this? Like Orsted's expressions are like read through Rudius, and Rudius sometimes just like interprets them incorrectly. And he like corrects himself sometimes, and he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, he's like like glaring at me, but oh no, that's just how he looks like when he's resting, whatever." And that happens quite a bit. Yeah, it's
yeah, and I don't know if I mean, another thing I'll talk about later, but this is another thing I love it every single time you get to a point like this is why Luke's perspective is so good. Later on, partly is because you see Rudy outside his body in like key moments, and you realize, oh my word, this is what everybody else is seeing when they look at Rudy. And of course you'd be reminded of this, and you're like, but you're like, oh, he's just a kid or whatever. But you're actually like, Rudy has like the worst poker face in this whole entire series. Like he has like there's a couple of times, and he actually talks about it near the end where Rudy just says he's going to keep a straight face, but he's like, I do often wonder, and there's a couple of times here where Rudy, you get stuck in the Rudy thought process, and you're just like, hold up, there's still a conversation going on here. How fast is his brain processing this stuff?
Yeah,
you know, and so it kind of leaves you out to the blank on like the actual time flow of things, and then it's just really nice to see, oh, Rudy's got this face, and you'd be like, what is Rudy thinking at this point? Like, as Luke's looking at him, and there's revealed what Rudy was thinking, but he just looks very untrustworthy. Like, yeah. And to kind of, I actually make this point later, but I'll bring it up now, why not? It's interesting, we have a lot of people who can't help their faces, and then others who have complete control, and that's what makes it cool when they like change it, when they do kind of change. I think something that's big, this one, on the people who don't seem to have control of their faces is Orsted, Eris, and what now seems to be clearly Rudy. Because like, Eris last chapter was mentioning, oh, she returned to a neutral face, which just looks like a scowl. Same thing with Orsted. They just look grumpy all the time because that's just what they look like.
Yeah.
Rudy's different way. He's got this smile that comes over his face, and he can't not make it look weird. And he'll like he's internally thinking to himself, and he's not even thinking of anything creepy. He just may smile, and it's just weird. And this is as opposed to someone like Perugius or Ariel. And Ariel is quite interesting because there's a lot of times this where you're like, okay, Ariel's not like being different Ariel, and it makes comments that these are like, this is a different smile, or she's in a different emotion, and like, so we see a much more authentic emotional range from Ariel in these chapters, which is nice. Like, anyway, so
very true. Yep, true. That's all I can say, Bacon.
Nice.
Yep. Let me read some of my notes here. Oh, I'm just glazing the anime in my notes here. I love it so much because we get the mention here of Derek, who is Ariel's guard back in the day, which we never really learned much about in the light novel. We learned a little bit, I'm sure, but we saw him in the anime. He was there for like 5 seconds. No, just it was so cool. I was like, oh my god, Derek, when did it happen?
we had a whole perspective chapter from Derek in the light novel.
Did we actually?
Yeah. Yeah, man. That was when before he dies, it's like all from his perspective. So like in the anime, you have Sylphie falling from the sky, right? But yeah. In the light novel, I think they're basically the first chapter. Like yeah. So
it'd be in mind crazy anime. I should have known Bacon. Jesus, the light novel's always better.
My God. Bunch of cringe. I actually had to look up who Derek was to make sure, because I was like, is it all this tied together? And I was like, oh, I guess it is. Okay, Mushoku Tensei does like to. It's got a lot of Chekhov's guns, right? So if it was referring to someone, it's probably a person you've met before you're thinking of. But yeah, no, it'd be interesting to reread that chapter. I should have done it for this because, yeah, it was amazing how pivotal he was.
I'm definitely going to go read that now. I forgot it existed entirely. That's going to be good.
Yeah, I don't know which volume. I feel like it's whichever volume's the first one that's not from... like
maybe volume 3, yeah.
At the end. For volume 3 or volume 4, I reckon. But yeah, that's cool.
We love it.
Sorry to ruin your amazing point. Anime glazing is cool.
Yeah. The only good thing the anime ever did was Turning Point 2, okay? They'll never take that from me. That was amazing. Anyway, Luke, you know what? I think we've covered enough Luke where I can kind of a little bit talk about my interpretation of Luke. One day I'll make a video about this. Luke is a very interesting character because he's a very clear Rudeus parallel. There's a lot of Rudeus's parallels in this. That's also going to be a video I make one day, I'm sure. But Luke is...
Oh, you're doing the Carl Entertainment thing where you're like, this is like your Black Lagoon. The Carl is just like, oh, here's the parallel for every Rock character and Roxy.
Yeah, I think the Luke one is very clear.
Sorry.
Like...
Interesting. I did not... I mean, I guess I kind of pick up, but now you say, I'm like, dude, I should probably be watching this whole thing. Yeah, I should be rethinking everything. Anyway, explain to me. Lecture me, Ari.
Firstly, they're both grey rats. Okay, crazy.
Yeah, big deal.
They're both within Sylphie's lives, I guess. Like Sylphie is an important person to both of them. Actually, let me think. I guess it's pretty clear also in volume 17 where you have the Luke is kind of worried that Rudy is thinking about taking over his family. Like he has a little line where there's like this scene where Luke is kind of panicking because his like dad betrayed them or something, and he's like, you want to take over the Notos branch or something, and like that. And there's like some insecurity in that, like Rudeus is kind of like him but better, maybe. Like Rudeus is a better fighter than him. He beats him at the wedding. He's a better mage obviously than him. He commands Ariel's respect more than him. He commands Sylphie's love more than him. You see, if I had a good way to explain this, I would have made a video by now, but I feel like there's a very strong parallel here, which would lead to Luke kind of feeling as though Rudeus is taking over his life in a way, which he kind of is. He also takes Eris, right, from who was meant to be Luke's wife in the future.
Like that is good.
There's something there where it's like Rudy is like the fact there's a grey rat, the fact that Eris, the fact that Sylphie, all this like ties together to be like it kind of feels like he's a parallel to Rudy, but also Rudy is taking something from him. I don't know. I'd have to think about it more, but there's something there, I think.
It's interesting because it's like the opposite of when we meet Luke initially. You think this is the more handsome, charming, awesome version of Rudeus. This is like if Rudy was a Chad. Because Luke is a Giga Chad. That's the thing. That's how he's always portrayed. He's super charming. Everybody loves him. Yeah. And yeah, no, I mean, I think it's interesting what you said there. I think, and then Rudy comes into his life, and then, I mean, this is so key, and this is why, Rudy's perspective is so invalid. There's, one line in here that's early on. I meant to copy and paste it in volume 16. There's so many times where Rudy, in volume 16, is like, dude, I suck. I'm nothing special. He says it out loud. And it's like he's fully convicted by this, which is absolute BS, right? Because it's clearly amazing, right? But then I think that's what Luke sees as well, and then Luke also has genuine because he's a pretty average sword fighter. I think that's what he's just average, right? Yep. And then I mean we're getting onto the volume 17 stuff, but yeah, I mean it's I do think I definitely agree. By the end, definitely with that's what the man god is preying probably on a lot, is that Rudeus is taking a lot of stuff from him. And Luke didn't like him initially, did he? Was that ever explained exactly why?
I think the implication is that because he didn't recognize Sylphie, probably. But we don't really know for sure.
Yeah. And then is there the implication that later on, Rudy thinks that maybe Luke does love Sylvie or something.
I mean, in volume 17, there is like he has that brief moment where he's like, "Oh, you should if Rudy ever leaves you or something, then come with me." But then it's more like a platonic.
Yeah, he says it's platonic.
But also, there's like the moment at the wedding when they fight after.
Yeah,
towards the end of it, he's like
very
fighting for his honor, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I like Luke a lot. Anyway. Continue.
Do you have anything more to say?
No.
I mean, yeah, I feel like you had something more to say. I don't know.
No, I just it's something I've always thought about. I've just never talked about it. But I need to flesh it out more, thinking about the Luke stuff. I don't have much more to say about it. But yep.
Yeah.
Now, next up, Bacon, they try to summon a beast. Okay? Crazy. Firstly, the setup, I think, is hilarious. the fact that, like, Rudy is firstly, he's not very worried. He's like, okay, let's summon this and let's get the whole family here. And everyone's a bit hesitant. They're like, oh, Orsted drew this? Like, Orsted's a bit scary. And then Aisha is like, oh, don't worry, guys. If it was really dangerous, Rudy wouldn't, like, bring the whole family here when he's summoning it, right? And Rudy's like, oh, Jesus, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Then eventually he does the summoning. And he summons Almanfi. Isn't that crazy, Bacon?
Aramanfi, whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's...
is it Aramanfi or Aramanfi? I actually haven't seen it spelled, but it's always said Aramanfi by the AI.
I don't. The way I say it is Almanfi, but I have no idea.
Almanfi. I like that. It makes him seem like a little cute boy. Oh, little Almanfi.
Yeah.
Oh,
cute little king level little swordsman guy.
He's got a little folksy mask. Yep. Yeah, that was funny as. That was very great. I also got spoiled on that because of the pictures at the start. So I knew it was going to be the dog from
Secret
from Spy X Family.
Oh yes,
Bond.
Yes, that's right. Very true.
But yeah, no. And then I got a bit confused because I forgot if Rudy knew if Roxy was pregnant or not, because Rudy was like oddly confused by like the fact that he was so take over Roxy. I'm just like, no, dude, the dog clearly is like can smell the little baby inside. That's what it's doing. I thought it was quite an odd moment for Rudy, so I got a bit confused there. But it seems like Rudy did know. Like there wasn't a big reveal, so. But yeah,
I mean, Rudy he can be aloof sometimes, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, I see what you mean. They played up the mystery of it quite a bit more than it probably deserved. Maybe, I guess we'll see.
No, it could just be telling about Rudy and his mindset. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like he's just like, yep, he's smart, but he's also dumb.
That's very true. That's a great description of Rudius. Okay, let's see. We oh my goodness, Diller. Apparently, I wrote this. Diller flinched when Leo was like barking or something. I don't know. I find that very funny. Just the pets have their own little dynamics. We love it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was funny. I was like, Diller mentioned.
Yep.
And then the waving of the Trent.
Oh my goodness.
What's his name?
Beat.
He is cute.
He's just my favorite character. He's so funny. He's like so rarely mentioned, but whenever he is, it's just the funniest thing ever. I don't know why. He cracks me up.
Yeah, it is great. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, now my next thing is about. I just quoted a really cool line. It's not really that cool, but it's pretty cool. Orsted is talking to Rudy, and he says, when he attempted to kill me, he only employed 3 people to do so. Then Rudy's like, which 3 were those? And Orsted's like, the Sword God, the North God, and the Demon King. And I was like, damn, true. That's pretty crazy.
He's just humble brag. Yeah, and it didn't beat me.
Yep. Very true.
I'd say, guys, I think it is confirmed. Orsted is the coolest character in this series. He is just so cool. He is unbelievably cool.
He's calm, he's collected, he's like cool looking.
Dude, there's every time he like pops out of nowhere. Like in volume 17 it's like it's like a bit later, but then the mirror boy, the little halfling with all his swords, he's got a dark and night mirror morning. And then Rudy just finds him in the alleyway with a hole left in his chest. Rudy was like, I know you did that. And Rudy comes out and is like, oh, Rudy, you killed him? Nice job, man.
Yep.
And we're just like, oh, that is like, it's just like, Orsted was here. He's good. You're going to die.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So
Orsted is the greatest. My goodness. Okay. Oh, bacon. This is something we haven't talked about yet, I think, unless I just forgot we talked about it. The light novel does battle aura, or Toki, or whatever they call it, which is something that's completely not in the anime. There's no battle aura stuff in that. It's being completely cut out. There's like implied use of it, which is like, oh my gosh, these like sword people are so strong and they can like take more damage and everything. But they never outright say it. They don't talk about like the statistics of like, oh, if you have more battle aura, then you're so strong, and Orsted's battle aura is crazy, and the fact you pierced his battle aura is insane, and all that. This is something I actually don't like about the light novel. Like, I much prefer it in the anime where it's like not explicitly mentioned, but it obviously still exists. To me, it seems very either one, unnecessary. Like, I feel like you don't have to kind of say this, and I feel like whenever it is brought up, battle aura, it feels very unnecessarily technical. It's like there's nothing interesting has ever done about it, at least so far. Where I'm like, oh, I'm glad they mentioned battle aura here. It kind of was relevant, and there was something interesting twist on it. I just don't think there's been anything interesting about it. So, yep, that's my 2 cents bacon.
All right, I'm gonna have to disagree, kind of. So I was being like, I was watching the anime, and I was like, I was in season 2. I was like, why does Susanna have like she's the tank and she's not covering her whole body? And it's like, this is a classic. And then every like, of course, like you never. It's not like Sold Out is out there with his abs out, showing like them glistening in the sun. No, it's only the female character, of course. Right, it's a classic, the meme of like, oh, I'm going to buy like the best armor, and the best armor in WoW is like the one with the least clothes on because I'm playing the female character. All this stuff, right? It's been memed a lot, right? And then you go into this whole spiel of battle aura, yada 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 yada, right? Okay, cool. I thought I was dumb. Now though, what actually is cool about battle aura is that Rudy doesn't have any. That's what I think is important. Like that is so important to mention because it's like, Rudy's OP, but he hasn't like got the crucial thing. Like Rudy would be unstoppable if he had this, right?
Yeah.
Like he'd have so much mana, he would develop it so strong, but he's just unable to do it for whatever reason. And this makes him a complete glass cannon. And that's like when he's sparring with Eris later, that's like he is so like he can hit Eris quite a few times, but if he gets hit once, she kills him, right? Like basically, and he gets knocked out. Like this is quite a big thing where like he gets a new cloak for it and all this stuff. So I would agree, like, sometimes it's unneeded, where I can't remember any, like, overly technical moments, but it is mentioned, like, a few fights where it's, like, Ghislaine didn't take a hit because, glanced off a battle or whatever, something probably. And you're just like, I didn't need to know that. But I think it's cool that it's at least explained outside of combat to kind of, like, give Rudius a bit more how he actually is positioned in this world.
Yeah. You know what? You've convinced me, Bacon. At least a little bit, okay? I do like that, actually. It is very cool whenever it adds stakes to Rudius, like a lot more stakes. Like, it's very easy to kill him. You know what? You've moved me a little bit. Okay. Good job, Bacon.
Yeah, there you go. I'm defending and mugging off Mushoku Tensei at the same time. But I'm just saying the anime is bad. I don't actually know what they look like in the light novel, right? They didn't describe it. So, light novel is so cool. But,
Yep. Okay, well, one more note here, Bacon. We get another retelling of the completely unreliable narrator story of the Golden Knight Aldebaran and the fight that has gone on that led to whatever it led to. So we have this time, we have Ariel talking about some tale or some play that's like done for the royalty of Azura. And she talks about how the Golden Knight Aldebaran beat the great Empress Kishirika. And as she was dying, she said, "You hold power beyond yourself. It will be the end of you." And then he becomes a king. Everyone's afraid of him, and then his retainers betray and kill him. Crazy. So there's what have we heard so far? We've heard I think we've previously heard like the Golden Knight Aldebaran versus Kishirika. We haven't heard any perspective from like we haven't heard anything of like, oh, Kishirika had this like crazy, what a great line she had. It's also kind of interesting because we heard from Kishirika herself that she wasn't involved in this fight at all. I think she mentioned from her perspective, it was like I think it was the dragon, what was it? I think it was Laplace versus the fighting god. She said like the demonic dragon king versus the fighting god. Because I like this. I like that if you track this, I think it was first mentioned in like volume 2 or something like ages ago. I'll be honest, I've not been keeping track of this. Yeah, I just keep
one day when I was reading this, I was like, It is cool. It is cool. It's something I probably like get more out of if I tracked it. But I thought it was cool that she kind of knew it was propaganda. She knew it wasn't true. So
Sure,
like
yeah.
it's kind of like but it's something that stuck with her. So
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let me see what else I have. I have a few more. I have actually, Jesus Christ, I have a lot more notes. Okay, I scrolled down. Rudy and Ariel talking about what makes Rudy so powerful. Rudy doesn't see himself as special. He's an ordinary mage who has daily worries, who happens to have a big mana pool. That was kind of cool. I like that framing. It's very true. Rudy is very powerful, and all of his power just comes from, I guess, his big mana. But if he didn't apply it in the way that he does, he kind of wouldn't be that strong. I don't know. He is just kind of a normal person with a big mana pool. I guess it's also because we see his internal perspective as well, which is what makes it feel like that. But I don't know. It was a cool way of framing it, I guess. But yeah.
I just thought it was, I think that's what I was talking about earlier. I think it's just very apparent, like, the lack of perspective Rudy has on himself, though. Because he's not, he reduces it to so much. Right? Oh, I just have a big mana pool. It's just not the case at all, right? Like, he like literally made up electricity magic, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's, like, it may not be an innate talent in there, but that's like, it's a weird thing. It's like if you have talent, you disregard it because you didn't earn it. But then because when you do earn stuff, you don't think highly of yourself, so then you don't congratulate yourself of it. Which I just think, it's just an interesting perspective, and it's just, I mean, I understand it a lot, honestly, in some ways. To my, I mean, Ari, like, maybe a bit of touch personal question, but have you ever like what if you had talent? What do you think you are talented at? Like something that just came innately to you.
Something I'm talented at?
Yeah, something you didn't earn, but you just got on birth, like just naturally.
I've never thought about that. I have no idea. I don't think I have anything. Like, I think I don't know, my like whole philosophy in life is that there is no such thing as talent, and everyone just, like, if you just focus on something, I guess it depends on your definition of talent, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think so.
Because for me, I guess for me it's almost like I have quite like almost a deterministic outlook. For me, it's like, so something that I have talent, I had talent in, which was, for whatever reason, right, my biology was like, yeah, Mr. Bacon over here, he's going to go through puberty like way earlier than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at me now, I don't look anything more, I look very average. I'm like 5'9", I weigh 80 kilos, like, I'm nothing special. But when you go at school and rugby's happening on, I'm getting bigger and stronger than other kids, right? I'm not the tallest, but I'm, right? Or like, and actually one thing that's maybe I'm above average is that I'm surprisingly quick, right? So, but this is not like me humble bragging, but this is like if I'd have talent, right? That's something that I did nothing. I guess my parents fed me right, and I didn't eat like a complete idiot. But as far as talent, as pure as your talent can get, like, that's kind of it. And that's not like to take away from stuff, because I guess for me, and there's a bit more obvious with like your body, but I also think it's kind of similar to what you like, right? A talent I also have is that or maybe it's something I learned, right? But it's not something I did, which is that I'm okay sitting and listening to someone teach a subject, right? That was me in school. There are loads of guys I know, loads of people I know that just can't sit still and can't be engaged. And there's almost a talent. Your talents also help you get better at your skills, if that makes sense. Like, you have a talent, or you have a natural enjoyment of something, right? Therefore, you do it more. Therefore, right? Like, that's not something you didn't choose. I didn't choose to really like making YouTube videos, but I did, and now I'd say I'm pretty good at it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say I'm the GOAT, but that's kind of how it is, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, something I'd say I have like no talent for is probably what I should do my job, which is programming. I don't think I have much talent in that, both because, I'm probably maybe mathematical, but compared to other programmers who have a really good knack of understanding structures and logical problems and stuff, right? I like, and they're like, they're like enjoy enough to do in their spare time. I'd say I lack talent in that aspect, Anyway, it's just an interesting thing to chew upon, and I think that's something that is really just quite core to Rudius's character, because he's probably thinking, well, you know, everybody else around him thinks he's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, it is unreasonable. This is why Luke has an issue with him. This is why Eris loves him. This is why Sophie loves him. This is why Roxy loves him. You know, and it's like completely unfounded, right? In the same way that Roxy finds Rudy's love of her completely unfounded as well, because it is like Rudy has gone through certain things, and he just, for whatever reason, he just views her literally as a goddess, right? That's just how it is.
Yeah,
and he has just so much respect for her. But like Roxy's perspective is like, what? Why? But the thing is, if Rudy as a sorcerer, he says, well, I failed at my first time at life and I get a redo, so of course I'm going to be better. You can't give me any credit for that, right? I'm just doing better than I was before, right? Or whatever. And he's like, well, I enjoy magic, so that's why I got good at it, because I got lucky. I had a brain in the child. Like, when you are the best at making your mana pool large, I was given an adult brain, you know, so I can work on it when I'm like 1 year old, right? Like, so he is really basic. I guess it's really easy for Rudius to have a rational, but also like a rational reason for undermining his own greatness, but at the same time, like it not being actually accurate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Anyway, all right. Now I've reframed it. Do you think you have a talent? What's your talent? If you have a talent,
by that definition of a talent, it's the question would be like, what is something that you were good at, but it was completely out of your control that you became good at it? I don't know. I'd have to think more about it. I don't know. I can't think of anything.
I mean, Ari, you have a PhD, mate.
Yeah, but I wasn't always good at, like, for instance, if I was to say studying, I definitely wasn't good at studying when I was younger. And I definitely don't have a talent for that. That was all through, like, working on it. I don't know. I'm sure there's something. I can't think of anything right now, though. There's something, I'm sure.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. We got a Rudius here, unable to answer this question.
True, yeah.
Little Rudius.
That's why I empathize with him so much. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I wish it was me, not him.
Yep, true.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because the next note I have is Luke and Eris's meeting. I'm not sure if you were going to.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Yep.
Now you kind of. I feel like Rudius did talk about this, and he felt bad of stealing. But now you mentioned that Luke doesn't even know what Rudius stole on him. At least this version.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Which is like, yeah. I mean, this is another interesting thing. It's like the relationship between Luke and Ariel, and what that actually means. And it's kind of like crystallized, but also not. And it's kind of is. Mm-hmm. I think it's something it could be read into, and I could probably read into more if I looked at it again, because it has like a couple of times you have this "I'm your knight, I'm your princess" thing. But it's also like, it's almost a bit weird, because I'm like, is it just mere status that they aren't like lovers, basically? I mean, surely they are. Like they talk so openly about sexual things with each other, right? And that's one of the key things that's actually in that Derek chapter. You're like, well, I haven't actually heard them talk like that in a while, and then they kind of talk like it again later on in these volumes. Like, oh yeah, I do remember that. Like, particularly Ariel, like she loves her innuendos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Luke's like a strong part there. You're just like, what is actually going on between these two? Anyway, seems like this. And then Luke meets Eris for the first time, and you're just like, okay, like he actually just falls head over heels for her. No more Giga Chad. No more, just,
love at first sight.
He gets knocked out straight away. The love at first sight. And he's so bamboozled by love that he doesn't even realize, he got knocked out and punched and hit, right? It's then like, yeah, it's quite funny.
His framing was really funny. He's like, I had this dream that I met this like red-haired, like beautiful woman, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, I guess that was my dream. It's a shame. Crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyway, they have an interaction. It's crazy. Rudy drags his limp body into his house and puts it in a room.
Whoa.
Then he wakes up and Eris tries to like curtsy at him, but she doesn't have a dress, and it's funny. Yep, good stuff.
That was a great moment. Yeah, I think I referenced that last video.
Yeah, you did
as well. But yeah, that was great.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Is this stuff we're talking about before or after the? No, it would be before the slime stuff, the labyrinth stuff. Because my next note is about the slime interaction stuff. Which that's like my whole thing when it comes to the library. Because I think the slime that was in charge of everything was so cool. the fact that you like communicate with writing stuff to it, and it like doesn't even acknowledge you if you're not writing to it, and the fact that it was able to like somehow like it's already transcribed like the diary from future Rudius and stuff, and I thought this was so cool. What a cool like little lore thing, and like sci-fi thing where they're like in the world there's this demon slime that's like transcribing everything that's happening, and it's all being collected in this one spot. That was really cool. That was my big takeaway from the whole adventure in this labyrinth.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's Wang Shitong vibes, and you had this whole vibe of like, if you just chill and don't do anything, it's going to be okay, right? I think it's really cool because you got this like, they're like, okay, and then they see the mega slime, like, oh my word, we are screwed. And it is made like a point, it's like instantly, like, you can see Ghislaine and Eris, they're both like, we are screwed because we can't cut through that thing. It's like, because you initially think, it's a slime, like, you know, like, because it's Japanese, you know, in JRPGs, slimes are the level 1 enemy. They're your Pidgey, they're your Rattata, the guy that you're going to kill, your Bidoof, right? The ones that you just kill straight away without thinking, right? But this one's so big, you need to get its crystal on the inside to actually stop it regenerating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a little small things about how it's got all these arms and how like when it passes the paper through itself, and pops out the other side, but without slime. And I love how Rudy communicates with him. Like Rudy figures it out, and it's just like, and then it kind of stops and looks at him, and then they have like a nice discussion. And because Rudy brought his diary from the future, they're like, he's like, very interesting indeed. You've brought me a book from the future. Like, yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of really interesting stuff. And you know, there's like cool bits like, it's all in order of date written, which makes so much sense because it's like the most efficient way to store books if you're writing as you're writing, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because if you know, like this is little details like that that I think, you know, I think are really cool. And then yeah, I mean, it is weird. It like Orsted also gives him the picture of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. Does Orsted know what the book is? Though, does he just know it matters? Probably just knows it matters. Like so this revealed what he's thinking later on. Yeah, and then they reveal. I'm like, oh yeah, what's this book? And they do a lot of like tension building. What the heck is the book? And then even really knows, but they keep. It's like one of those few moments where everybody knows apart from the reader. And you're like, well, what's going on? Show me. And then it's from Derek, and I'm like, is that the guy? Is that the guy I'm thinking? When I type him up and I see his face, I'm like, yeah, it's the guy from the anime.
Yeah, I'm sure. And that one thing,
PogChamp, and then it's like, what did it tell Ariel? Like, anyway,
I was crying reading it. And it's like, what's happening? Oh my god!
And then I'm like, oh, everybody's mad. I'm like, oh, someone cried on it. Like, I instantly, that's what I thought. And I was just, and then there's a moment when Luke's like he's like, oh, why do you like goes and like rubs at Albie as she just spreads the ink further?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Luke, man, feels so bad. I thought there's a really good moment before this though, when then like it talks a lot about this. Like, there's a big thing about information and what it means, right? And particularly around this, I forget, Gaius guy. I think that's what he's called. Guy. Anyway, the guy that Gaius, this great leader from 400 years ago that was buddy with Mr. Floaty Fortress and Progi. Progi.
It's true. Yes.
And then he like, and just trying to figure that out, and then it's like almost like, they're trying to figure stuff out, and so I mean, before they even go in the labyrinth, sorry, just to come back a bit. So Luke goes to Rudy. Luke's then sus of accepting because he's like, oh, Luke from the start is like pinned as man god material. Then Rudy's trying to like see if he should go up, and then also it's like, well, you're gonna have to kill Luke then. Just like chill about it. Rudy's like, dude, I'm supposed to kill this Darius guy, and then I'm gonna have to kill Luke. I don't know if I can do that, right? Kind of thing. And it kind of sets up a lot, and then you have that conversation with Ariel on the top there, where Rudy just finally accepts. It's like, it's just interesting to see Ariel absolutely dejected, like she's absolutely beaten up. I think this is why I'm trying to get that. Like Ariel's range of emotion is just like she is completely destroyed, and like Rudy is like clearly seeing behind, like the whole veneer is gone. She's being polite, but she is completely destroyed. And then she like perks back, and then as soon as Rudy is on the team, she's like, okay, I got this. And Rudy like says, yeah, let's go to this random labyrinth, people. Yeah. It's like, well, how do you know that? It's like, I just know, guys. Trust me.
Yep.
And then they go, Eris is bored because she thinks she's going on an adventure and she doesn't. Like, she can't kill anything. That was funny. And then basically they find out all this stuff, and then they realize that, oh, this Gaius guy, like, we don't know actually what he was thinking. And Gaius had his, like, they found his actual diary. It's like, made a note that Rudy is good at finding diaries. Like, he's found quite a few diaries and stuff. But yeah, like, basically just seeing Ariel, like, completely defeated, lacking in promptness and purpose. And it's just so, yeah, it's like quite character defining. Almost feels like, and then when she finds you, like, what does she mean? All this stuff. So yeah, anyway, sorry, bit of a ramble, but I just want to kind of Ariel's. I think I like Ariel more than Luke, but it's hard to choose. They're both characters where, like, I feel like I just have, in a weird way, I feel like I haven't seen enough, but I don't know why.
Well, I mean, these two volumes definitely focus on them.
I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like this, like the volume we're waiting for, but for some reason, like, maybe it's because we haven't had like a perspective chapter from Ariel. That's why maybe I don't quite get it. Luke's perspective chapter, I loved it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, something's stopping me from connecting with them as characters. Maybe that's the point, because she's quite aloof, and she's like, I don't share myself. But yeah, I guess it's just like there's a lot of telling. A lot of telling and not convincing. I don't want to be tell and show. I mean, like, they say, oh yeah, she's super charismatic. I'm just like,
yeah, I see it.
Cool. I want make me feel like she's charismatic. Not that, like, she isn't charismatic, she isn't, like, fun, like, she has that moment, but, like, yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it's because Rudy's not falling in for her charisma, it's kind of broken or whatever. I don't know. And also, she's surely a blessed child, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, right? She's like, she's got a blessed child where she's like pro charisma. Oh, and then she has this moment with Orsted Lake, which is crazy. Yeah, anyway, so I'm not sure what I was exactly saying, but then they had the Derek moment, and then, yeah. Do you have anything else to say on the library?
Let me think. The library.
This is my issue. I didn't make notes, and so I'm just like,
yeah, I didn't make. The only note I made was about the communication. My biggest note is more a meta thing. I just couldn't believe how long it was. Just because to me, I just didn't remember any of it, or it's like completely original, which was really cool. It was exciting. Yeah. Like I said before, I liked reading it. I don't have much to say beyond that.
Oh, I found another moment. There's like a big emphasis made on one fight where, like, I think it wasn't continued on, I don't know, but like Sylphie and Rudy just look at each other and they know what they're doing in a fight. I thought that was quite cool in the Labyrinth. That's a note. Did Eris and Rudy get a similar moment later? I can't remember, actually. But yeah, there's like this like unsolved thing. Then you also have Rudy. Oh no, this is later on. Yeah, and then Luke and Ariel were having a moment together, crying about Derek was nice. That's quite nice. Yeah,
I have a thing which is very small, and I think that they reference it twice, like once in this volume, once in the other volume. It's a cute moment where Rudy looks at Sylphie hanging out with Luke and Ariel, and he thinks back to how lonely she was when she was like a little kid who was being bullied.
Yeah,
and seeing how far she's come and how she has friends of her own and she cares about them very deeply and has independent relationships completely devoid of Rudius. And it's cute. I think it's very cute. It's nostalgic, reminds you of the old days of reading like Volume 1. And it's good character progression, it's just to see how far she's come. I like it. Yep. That's it.
Yeah. Cool. No, I definitely, no, that's really sweet. I wrote that Luke and Ariel had a nice moment, but I can't remember what was really nice about it. But yeah, I think it's just nice them being human.
There's the whole element of I don't remember the details enough, but I think it was when Luke basically thought that Guinness didn't like him. Not Guinness, sorry. That Derek didn't like him, but didn't think high of him or anything. But it's revealed that he actually thought that he had, like, if he dedicated himself, then he could have a valuable, like, good person and everything. But that was kind of cute. Yep.
Yeah.
So my next thing is just about the Ariel thing with Perugius. So I don't know if you have anything before that. But
nope.
So
I hope you have a lot of notes on that, because I have one note.
I think I just listed out. I think I just quoted a bunch of stuff because Bacon. This is a cool scene. I like this a lot. Perugius is one of my favorite characters in basically every scene is amazing to me. And this was a very fun test. So Ariel, she's answering, what does it mean to be a king? And her answer, after all this, labyrinth stuff and thinking for a long time and everything, was the determination to carry on the will of those that came before. Which, because firstly, let me say, I didn't actually remember the answer when I was reading this. I was like, what is she going to say? I was curious. And when she did say it, I was like, oh, that's like it's really simple. And it's like kind of similar to what she said before. And then I was glad to see that Rudius thought the same thing. He's like, that's kind of like a low-hanging fruit, don't you think? So that was kind of cool to see.
I'm surprised Rudy didn't make a reference to some manga he read.
Oh, yeah, so how cliche it is. Yeah, true.
Well, it's just Owen Smith. Maybe like Owen Smith.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the corpses.
Griffith moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to build on the body.
Well,
I guess it's more Owen Smith. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, here's a king character. What should we give them? I need to carry on. I think here's more personal, of course.
Yes, definitely.
It's made to seem more personal. Anyway, I think it's interesting what happens after that, actually.
Yeah, so I guess the big reveal here is that Prugius wasn't... I mean, firstly, he actually probably was looking for an answer, but he ended up getting something that was probably better than an answer, which is a demonstration of her resolve or her mindset. And I guess giving a decent answer, which is to say, determination to carry on those who came before, whatever. But I guess in response to this, Prugius says, so your desire to become king is entirely contingent on the will of other people. And then Ariel says, if I can be the king if I can be the king those who entrusted their wills to me hope for, then I do not mind if I am not a true king. And then Prugius says, Ariel says, yes, I am such a fool, all the more reason I should be hoping for your assistance. And to that, Prugius says, huh. And I'm like, it's one of those moments where the old man is saying, huh. That was kind of cool. And then he said, do you really think that answer is enough to compel me to aid you? And she says, no, I do not, my lord. However, these are my true feelings. If you reject what I stand for, then I have no need of your power. And then he says, you think you can attain the throne without my assistance? And she says, if my ideals are so vastly different from yours, then I think your aid would be more of a hindrance than a help. I'm like, hell yeah, this is great. I feel like this is one of those situations, like it happens every now and then in stories, where it's like, the character who is in control, everyone wants to be respectful around them. The thing they respect the most is when you stand up to them. And this is one of those moments where it's like denying his, like saying that I would rather just be myself or like follow my ideals than to pander to yours is the correct answer here. Like a king should, they should strive to be, they should not try and bend to the whims of the people who are requesting things of them like this, I guess. So I don't know, it was I like this interaction. It was very, very enjoyable to read.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. Yes, so apart from it being like, I'm glad it wasn't like the correct answer. I mean, there was no correct answer, was there? I think that's what Prugius said. It wasn't the correct answer.
To me, the implication was that he didn't necessarily have a correct answer in mind, but when he's talking to Rudius afterwards, he like lists a bunch of stuff. And then afterwards he's like, she didn't say any of that, but then I was thinking of like what my friend Gyna said, and there was like an ideal king that he had in mind. And so it was kind of like, I feel like Prugius kind of had like an answer, but it was like a really complicated answer with like a bunch of things. But in reality, he would probably just accept anything that intuitively made sense to him, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Prugius, I actually think, is probably one of the most hard to understand characters. I'm looking forward to try and get more answers from him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have more answers, but there's definitely moments where I'm just like, I don't know what this guy is thinking. And I think it's made up in this next moment where Rudius does a moment with Prugius, where Prugius basically asks him, why do you stand there doing nothing, I think, or something like that, right? Or why did you not...
He said something like that. Yeah, I don't remember what you're saying.
He said, why did you like hold back, basically? I think it's because he didn't talk about Orsted already.
Oh yeah,
or something, right?
Yeah, he said you could have. You could have said Orsted. Yeah, true. Yeah,
wants you to be queen. And then Rudius basically says, "Oh, I'm going to find it." Just because it's quite a funny moment, because he's like, "Man, I couldn't have sounded more badass if I tried." And then Prugius is like, "That's an awful answer. I actually don't think I can load it fast enough. I think,
damn, it could be any."
My thing could be.
I guess I didn't say this. I guess I can fill the time if you want to search for it. But
yeah.
I actually read I think it was 3/4 of volume 16 because I don't remember why. There was I think I like didn't have access to headphones or something. But yep, I actually physically read it. I bought it on the Apple bookstore and I was reading it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But I think I'm actually faster when I'm just listening to the audiobook, because then I can just do it when I'm not doing other things. But when I am doing
really?
things, but yeah.
Well, I know even if I put the audiobook on 2 times speed, I can go faster than it. But that's because I'm like impatient. I'll just start skipping paragraphs. Like, I need to see what's next.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's not gonna load for me. I don't think. Just my Wi-Fi's bad.
True.
Oh, I'm so sorry because this is something I would normally make a note on, because it was a really interesting moment. Because basically, I thought it was interesting that Perugia said it's such a weak answer, and I think what I get from Perugia, Perugia likes people, and it's made more clear on, he likes people who are authentic in their opinions, right? Who don't try to hide what they love. And this is made clear with Zenobia, but where I got this, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, is when he met Eris. Like, he loved, like, Eris does, like, the least, like, she breaks all conventions, like, but she's the most Eris thing, and she screws up, but he loves that, because he's like, man, this is fun. Like, this one that's, like, this is, like, someone who's unabashedly themselves.
Yep.
That's things what he values. And then when Rudius, he feels like Rudius is probably too conniving and not thinking it. But the reason why I'm talking about Perugius later, because I feel like I kind of got him a little sussed out, but then later on, when you have this whole thing going down, maybe we just talk about it later, because I want to bring it up later, but it's just like, Perugius is like an interesting character. I just don't really, like, there's way more to him, and I'm trying to figure out what. There's a lot of interesting quotes, because you assume he's the most powerful, and he's really simple because he just wants to kill Laplace. But then he's also scared of Orsted, which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I actually really love to see an Orsted Perugius action actually written about, then what happens, and like Rudius' perspective on that or something. Yeah,
I agree. I guess anyway, we'll have to see. But I did find the line vacant, so I think Rudius says, even if that sped things along, Princess Aria would still be the one taking the throne, and she needs your help to do it. No matter how much help we provide, we are still outsiders. Unnecessarily using Orsted's name to force compliance will only breed enmity. Then he said, that was pretty badass answer, if I do say so myself. And then we have some like internal monologue from Rudy, and then Perugia says, that's a weak way of thinking. Perugia spat before leaving the room. His 12 servants remained behind, and I could barely breathe under the weight of all their gazes. ... Crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting because also to build on this, like there's not many times Rudy congratulates himself, and like half the times he does, he gets undermined immediately. So it's not helpful for his self-confidence there. But it's interesting. It's like, why does Perugius not like it? I think that's interesting. I think I have maybe it's not honest. Maybe that's why he doesn't like it. Maybe he sees something in Rudy and he doesn't. Like, there's so many times that basically later on he's just staring at Rudy when like Perugius is supposedly with it at death's door, and he just wants to see what Rudius does. Right? He's not interested in Ariel. He's not interested in anybody else. He's interested in Rudius, and I think that's. Anyway, I'm want to figure out like,
I feel like
Rudius is definitely.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I guess my reading of it right now is that he probably finds Rudius interesting. He probably also feels like Rudius isn't living up to his potential, maybe. And also there probably is also an element of thinking that Rudius is being either dishonest, not dishonest like that strictly, like not that negatively connotated, but maybe he's being too reserved or like too formal, like what, that thing we have talked, I think we've talked about it, where Rudius is very formal when it comes to like the way he's speaking, and he's trying to be less formal and stuff. I feel like that's probably something that Perugius is also picking up on. I don't know. I feel like there's a few things.
Yeah, maybe he's not being ambitious enough. Like, it's interesting because Rudius' ambitions are just, I want to chill with my family, man. Like, it's very small. But he's getting wrapped up in these grander games because he wants to protect said family. Which I think is interesting. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. The mystery. Okay, so it gets brought up with the whole Luke Man God mystery thing. This is completely separate, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm curious, because obviously this whole time I knew that Luke was like working with the Man God, or got a vision from the Man God at least. what did you think? Because obviously we go back and forth. Initially, it's like, oh, he is, he might be, and then Orsted's like the whole time he's like, yeah, he probably is, he almost certainly is. But Rudy kind of goes back and forth, and then even like in the next volume, I think Ariel gives like a plausible other explanation where it's like, oh, maybe he's just like, maybe he was plotting with his dad or something like that. And what did you think? Did you think that Luke was actually an apostle, like right from the beginning when he came to the Big Eris chapter and tried to get his help, or did you waver back and forth? Like, what did you not really think about it?
No, I thought, yeah. So initially, I was like, even if he's under the man god, that was a genuine plea for help from Luke to Rudius.
Yep.
I think it's made pretty clear in volume 17 that something's going up with him, and that he is probably the man god. I think, like, at least at this point, I was like, it's too early to say, but then I wasn't really that enthralled, like, on whether he was the man god or not. Like, I don't know, the mystery just didn't appeal to me, so I wasn't like that, that like sucked into it, I guess. Like, yeah, he could be man god, he could be not. Like, we don't have enough really to say here, right? It's not like a mystery where it has like little hints and you're like humming and hawing. You're just like, I don't know, like you didn't feel like a very intriguing mystery, I guess.
I think the more interesting mystery to me, well, not necessarily mystery because I know the answer of it, is more so the fact that we never get confirmed until obviously way later on that Luke is the man god's apostle. It always leaves the possibility that someone else is, right? And particularly, the person would be Ariel in this case. Like, if she was working with the man god, then it could, a lot of the stuff that was like her, the way she's like taking Rudius on like a walk by herself and is trying to like get close to him and everything. It's kind of like, oh, okay, maybe she is, and this would be really bad if she is, because, you know, we really need her and she's very powerful and everything. And that's kind of like obviously I'm trying to retrospect here because I knew the answer, but it kind of feels like the book was hidden from me.
I never in my mind, for whatever reason, I was like, I feel like it was almost really gave a really good reason why she wouldn't be the mad goddess to disciple. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, like, for whatever reason, I was never that scared. I don't know why. Like, I was never paranoid. Like, the man god is paranoid, like inducing it. He has done that to me before. But for whatever reason, I just didn't feel like.
Well,
I guess
there is also
definitely.
Orsted's like, it's impossible. She's not going to be the apostle.
Oh, that's why. Maybe because Orsted said so.
Probably.
I'm just like,
that's what
okay.
I vaguely remember.
For whatever reason, I like, yeah, I think that's what Orsted said. So, like, for me, I was like, well, whatever Orsted says, he's probably correct, right? Like, I think there's stuff it does give you reasons to be a bit less valuing Orsted, because he does, you know, he doesn't seem to really, he doesn't really seem to care that he can mess up, and it's explained why later, but it's kind of like, oh, he's always got the next plan, he's always got his next go, right? Like, so he's a bit emotionless about that, and he may not care about the individuals. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, like, I just never got the feeling that, like, and it was almost validated, because I had never thought that, like, the man god was one step ahead, because I had a few things here, like, the man god can see the future, it's expansive and precise. This is what the Orsted says. He can manipulate people to see the future too. The ancient dragon god art is stronger than this prescient vision, so you can't see exactly what Orsted is doing. But then later off, it kind of says, when you take that like concrete power away from the man god, he's actually not very smart. He's not very good at.
Doesn't have to practice what people prediction.
Yes. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, did a good job undermining the man god. I mean, it doesn't mean that wasn't hype. There's like one point, it's like I think his reader jumps down and it's like, this is the man god's final card. Yeah, whatever. And like, that was a cool moment. But I don't know, like, I did, because I just wasn't that. I was more scared. I wasn't scared of the man god. I was scared of like all the actual people that could kill them. Like the like Owlbear, basically.
Yeah.
That he was great. He was great.
Talking about, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's so much in volume 17. Oh my god. Okay. Wait, let's go.
I think we can finish 16. We can finish 60.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly see. So Rudius. Oh yeah, this is kind of sad. Okay. Rudius has. Oh god, the end. Oh Jesus, I just remembered how good the ending of volume 16 is. But Rudius is talking to Zainoba and Cliff about Orsted, and he lies to them about it, which is kind of sad. Where he like says,
"No, I was very upset."
Yeah.
I said lying to Zainoba is cringe, bad, Rudy bad. That's my note.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yep, that's really.
But that was I feel like one thing I did love, I love that like they were like drunkenly making something. That's
My goodness,
That's a great
that was
punch.
yeah. This whole final 2 chapters or whatever, where you have the boys getting drunk and like working on a prosthetic hand in the laboratory, and
Yeah.
at the same time you've got all the girls getting drunk and like I guess Roxy's not drinking, but like first
I was worried.
3 wives.
I was like, hang on, is she drinking? Because we kind of said earlier.
Yeah. Nope, not at all. But yeah, you got the 3 wives initially, and then Lilia comes in and with Zenith, and
Yeah, that was
and then Lionel shows up, and it's like, oh, this is great. And they're all like, they have this. Oh, and Sylphie's getting super drunk, and
yeah.
no one else is, and it's just
Drunk Sylvie's
so
great.
Great. Yeah,
It's
this is probably my favorite chapter in this volume. I liked it so much. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I would say, this moment, maybe it does, but this moment utterly fails the Bechdel test or whatever, which is the test
Really?
that basically you have two women in a room not talking about a man, because so much of the conversation is like around Rudy, which I thought was interesting, but I also was hoping for more, not about Rudy and about themselves and with each other, if that makes sense. So while I did really like what we got, there was some things I wanted more of.
No, I mean I disagree, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have nothing to say to that. You're wrong, Bacon. It's wrong. It's great and great scene, great
Okay.
interactions.
No, it is a great scene, but it needs more. Like, anyway, I just thought, anyway, it does a really good job of like putting in perspective Rudy, but I'm just like, oh, can I just see them like talk about, like, not, like, I want to see them interact with each other. Like, it's nice seeing them be friends, right? And I mean, there's loads of stuff like, what was it? Zenith being the drink refiller for Eris is very funny. There was like a couple things like that where I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where, like, of course, it's giving characterization to Rudy, but I'm like, man, this is one of the few times like Rudy's not in a scene, and we've got character perspectives from different characters, and it'd be nice to, like, anyway, it was like expand upon their own relationship, and maybe there are subtle things like that. But anyway, I was kind of like, I want to see how they interact and like what they're talking about, and yeah,
That's okay. You can be wrong.
Um,
That's all right.
yeah.
It happens.
There was some interesting stuff. Lilia is being sad that Rudy doesn't love her daughter. I assume that's romantically. Is weird. Lilia
Goddamn
is weirdly pro incest.
Yeah.
That was actually the biggest reveal. I was like, this is why it's not necessarily all bad. Like, 'cause I love the reveals like this. Okay, what is Lilia actually like? And I'm just like, hang on, what? I had to reread that. Like the what?
Yep.
And it makes sense. It like retroactively makes sense for all that cringe stuff that Aisha does sometimes. Yeah, Aisha does. So anyway,
It is true.
I'm not sure if you had anything to say on that.
On the Aisha, they mentioned at the end where it's like, oh, all these women are having fun, and they left out one girl in the house who's awake, or who's like not awake, but is like sleeping through it all. And that was Aisha, I'm guessing, but that was kind of
No, but like Lilia, like this thing with Lilia, like
the thing was there's stuff I can't say. It's
okay. It wouldn't be expanded upon later.
it's so funny. I can't even say if it can be or not. Like some people would say yes, some people would say no. But it's like Lilia. It is messed up, right? The way that she is grateful that Rudy has saved her life once when he was younger and she was younger. And ever since that incident kind of broke her brain, and now not really, but like now she is wholeheartedly dedicated to Rudius's life, and she basically thinks that her life is like owed to Rudius, like he owns it basically, and all of her descendants will like belong to him too. Like for instance, Aisha, obviously, and it's a messed up relationship. She doesn't really. She kind of obviously she loves Aisha, and we've seen moments of that where they're like crying and hugging each other and all that. But she has a very dysfunctional relationship where she views Aisha also at the same time as an object for her to kind of prove her thankfulness to the fact that Rudy saved her life. Is like I'm grooming Aisha to marry you one day or something, to be like a wife to you or something. It's messed up. It's just messed up. And
what's weird is so sabotaging. It's like she is making her life basically worse by being in this frame of mind.
Like Rudy
he's the only one suffering by the fact Rudy does not care. Rudy's not making her, like, she could be Rudy's mother, right? But she does not want to be it.
Yeah.
Aisha could just be her, but like Aisha's being effectively groomed to be.
She is, yeah.
And it's cute. It's just weird. It's just weird. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like locked herself in the cycle. Anyway, it's interesting.
We'll talk about this.
I think it's interesting.
Oh boy.
Cool. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have no idea what I'm laughing at, but my goodness. All right. A few more things.
Okay, well, at least there's content for everybody involved that's listening. There's no light notes. Maybe they know what RA's laughing.
Oh, it's
Don't put it in the comments.
Yeah. Okay. Rudius. Oh, I read that already. Eris. Oh, Eris versus Rudius. What? I'm trying to remember. What exactly was this in volume 16?
They fight. This is volume 17.
No, I'm thinking. I think it's when at the end of 16. I think they're just fighting, and This is the time where Rudius wins like one out of the 10 matches or something. And
9.
Yeah. I don't remember why I wrote this down. I think I just really liked it. Yeah, it was cool.
I think I was referring to that earlier. I thought this was the beginning of volume. But yeah, anyway, it's in this pocket of time, at least.
Yeah.
Because, Rudius is trying to get stronger, trying to get better.
Yeah.
And Eris is just mopping the floor with him. And there's like an interesting moment where Eris, Rudius always just thinking, is she going to leave me because I'm like so weak? Which I think is interesting. And then Eris is always just like, oh no, you're at a disadvantage or whatever. Or like...
Yeah, like you couldn't get anywhere near close getting me because you're a mage, and at this distance, you should be impossible to even win once against me.
Yeah, and it's actually said later with Owlbear and something like that, where like Eris is like, I never once dodged that move in training. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Like they both Rudius undersells himself once again. Yeah, we haven't actually got to the true greatest chapter.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which actually I found somewhat disappointment, but like this is like
this is what I want.
This is the Ghislaine analyzed chapter. It's just like it doesn't really expand upon much. It's kind of nice, but I would say, and I think at this point, in some ways, Ghislaine is maybe the most disappointing character so far. This is kind of on top of 17 because she's just so simple, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I was just like interested because anyway, they spend a lot of time with each other early on. It's like one of the early characters you get invested in. Before you get invested in Ruijerd, and I'm still hoping there's more Ruijerd stuff, right? Otherwise, he may be a bit disappointed as well. So you see, and then she gets put to the side, right? And then you kind of be like, okay, well, are we getting more here, or are we like, oh, well, she'll come back and we'll get more expanding on her? And it's just kind of like there's a couple things I think what's expanded upon is their relationship with Paul. So it also doesn't pass the Bechdel test or whatever, which I'm memeing now. But yeah, I thought the funniest thing of this chapter is that like Ghislaine compliments herself for being wiser, which is so funny. She's just like, oh, it's nice that I don't have to think so much about Eris anymore because Rudy's got her. And then she thinks to herself, like, actually, no, I do need to be concerned for her, but that's okay. I've done wiser. Yeah, something like that. I thought it was quite funny. So, yeah, maybe I missed something, but anyway.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or
so, firstly, Ghislaine is an interesting character because I think in the first, 2 volumes that she's in, I think she's one of the most compelling characters to me. And since then, like the majority of the stuff I like about her was the stuff at the beginning, where she was being both a mentor and a student at the same time. I thought that was really interesting, and that's kind of carried over to be like, I still like her a lot just because of the early stuff. And there is occasionally we get really interesting stuff. Toward the end of volume 17, it's fun, I guess, thinking back to the relationship she had with Rudy when she was younger.
Yeah.
And seeing how like she actually, I guess I can just say now because I talk about Ghislaine. But thinking about how she remembers the promise that Rudy made 10 years ago about making another figure kind of shows how she really does value Rudy a lot. And yeah, it's small things like that where every now and then you'll get like a little thing that Ghislaine will say and you'll be like, oh, that was cute. But there's no like substantive, like this is a Ghislaine chapter where we're going to focus on her and what she's feeling and everything. And yeah, I feel like it's more ever since the initial stuff where there was a lot of her. I think it's just been like every now and then you'll get a glimpse of like, oh, that was cute, but there's not too much. But I did enjoy this Alinalized Ghislaine chapter, but I don't remember why. I just remember liking it a lot, and I don't remember quite. I remember there was like talks about Paul and stuff, and like the labyrinths, but I don't quite remember.
There's also the fun dynamic of everybody being absolutely terrified of Ghislaine because they assume that she's the berserker, right? And then It comes in and everyone's like, "Oh, we love you, Lionel. I haven't seen you in a while. I heard you got married."
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah," and then she strolls right up to like her, and they have like a. It's interesting because it's clear that Lionel is out of everybody. Like how she views Ghislaine is very different to anybody else that has interacted with Ghislaine so far in the story that we've watched. Like, okay, Talhan probably feels the same, right? Or Paul would as well, but you don't like. It's just interesting to see like. Basically, it's very clear that Lionel is this kind of almost like older sistering Ghislaine a lot.
Yeah.
And how she views her. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting, but it doesn't really expand on much because Ghislaine's just have so few words. And that's just basically it, right? Yeah, things like that. She's a very simple character. That's not too bad. Just means that I was a bit disappointed when, like you, I enjoyed the early stuff with her, right? The same way that I enjoyed like the early stuff with Ruijerd, but then I'm just like, oh, we actually didn't get like a ton of that perspective. We had one perspective chapter, but then she's just, in a mindless anger, wrath kind of.
Yeah.
And it's not even from our perspective, so yeah. But then I guess that's also how I feel about like Zenith and Lilia in some way. And Lilia, we get some more interesting stuff revealed, but I'm still like, what's going on inside that Lilia head a little bit. But yeah, so.
God, we should do, well, I guess we will at the end of this whole light novel series. We need to do a tier list of characters. It's going to be so fun. There's a lot of these very interesting characters.
Yeah, I should have been doing it like so far, whatever. We did with the Vinland Saga stuff, didn't we? Like, I had to do a tier list every single time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also, that's the end of volume 16. But also, I had one more thing. We didn't really talk much about the Sacred Beast showing up again. That was kind of like it's like cool, they were back in the Great Forest. Also, do you remember the prophecy about the Sacred Beasts and everything? Or
yeah, well, it said I remember they saying the Sacred Beast saying that he wasn't like Rudius wasn't the special one, wasn't the chosen one, right?
Yeah.
That was made quite clear. That's probably because I assume maybe that's some like time. Now we know that timelines like can change and stuff. That's pretty not true, I assume, or maybe Rox's kid is the chosen one.
Oh wow,
that would make a way more sense because that's why it's sniffing and knows it's in there. It's like that's my boy. Or something. Yeah, it's someone in Rudius's line that's the chosen one. That's interesting. I wonder if Rudius then relayed that to Orsted, what Orsted would think, because that's pretty big. And that kid, it would be like Jack from the Incredibles, where it's just like OP as and it's and then it kills the main god by teleporting behind it and says Goo Gaga turns on fire.
That would be something.
Punches the hole through it. Yeah. One thing I will say, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but man god, not nearly as scary as anymore. Orsted is just too cool. And so I'm interested in seeing. I mean, there was good tension, there was good things to be invested in, but yeah.
I guess before we get to volume 17, which will be a separate recording session for everyone listening, but it is interesting how we're definitely in a new stage of the novel here, where there is no more man god because like we're not talking to the man god anymore. We're seeing his actions indirectly now. Because obviously Rudy's wearing the bracelet thing, and there's no more like scenes with him, and everything we see is indirect. So like the quality that we evaluate the man god through is the characters he chooses to represent him, I guess. Like Luke, like Orba, I guess not Orba. Wait, was Orba? Who were the three? It was Darius or Darius, Luke. Was it Orba?
Rita.
No, Rita. That's right.
It was Rita.
Yeah, Rita. Yeah, so it's like we see.
I think what was cool. Yeah, well, yeah. Not to take the 17 talking points away. I just think what was more cool was how it's revealed how they talk to them.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Yeah,
that was the interesting part to me. I was like, okay, so that's what the man god's saying. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about volume 17, and it is absolutely not an entirely new recording session.
Yeah.
So Bacon, this is basically the volume where they're traveling to Azura and they're claiming the throne, I guess. That's what's happening in this. And, yep. So I guess we can just go around. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
How does this start again? We've already talked about Luke has already visited and stuff, right? Like,
I believe this starts with, does it start with a Orsted chapter, maybe? I actually don't remember the details of what it starts on. But I feel like that's probably the most natural thing.
I've been blitzing this so hard that I can't remember. But, yeah. So, I mean, first things first, I like when they're trucking along. Actually, no, I think I made these out of chronological order. I mentioned this last time. Eris, I think it kind of starts with Eris's experience at Pruga's castle, and it's very, very authentic Eris. Yeah, so Eris getting a chuckle from Prugus is fantastic. It seems like I said before, but he likes people who are transparent about how they are feeling, which is great. Yeah, and then they kind of, Eris is so excited, like as opposed to Sylphie when she was up there, she was quite scared about being this high because she's got that fear of
Very true.
flying. But Eris is like, oh my word, this is so cool. So cool little contrast there.
Yep.
One thing I thought was interesting, what I always liked is, and throughout this whole thing, I loved it that Orsted is near them.
Yes, yeah.
But like in the shadows, he's operating in the shadows. If he gets too close, everybody's going to be absolutely terrified. Which kind of leads up to an amazing moment later, of course. But the first thing it says, like, oh, he leaves like a dollar sign on like the trees. So then Rudius knows that they're coming around a corner and they have this fight, which is really quite cool. And there's like a comment made that like Ghislaine is considered the strongest in the party, which I thought was interesting. Because I assumed that Eris would be the strongest. Maybe it's because it's like probably because Ghislaine's actually got actual experience. But I do feel like Eris would be ahead of 1v1. That was when I was making my notes.
Well,
not now. I made that. It was a good prediction. Now I read them back. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because it's like, okay, well, Eris clearly is a higher tier. She's king, right? And then Ghislaine's still saint, right?
No, they're both king.
They're both king now.
Yeah.
And okay. I was on the wrong wavelength, but yeah. Then you have
you get the idea behind
then
it.
you have yeah. Then I had you had the human disco ball turn up. He's having a good time.
Very true.
Produces his whole time. He's looking over his shoulder. He's like, I've been given some information that the North God Emperor Peacock Man is here. So I actually thought that Peacock Man was the god of North God style, but that's not correct. He's just an emperor.
No.
So we
haven't met him.
He's one of the Elite Four, but he's not. Yeah, he's like Bruno, but he's not like Lance. If you get that reference, never made some Pokemon references already. He's Elite Four. He's not the champion. There you go. Have you played Pokemon Ari?
No. But okay, I understand. I get the gist of it.
Wow. No, Ari, this is bad.
But he is, okay, no, in fairness, he is an emperor, okay? And I think that's one of the very few emperors we've actually met.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
it's a big deal. Massive deal.
It's a big deal, but this fight, it's well, I guess, firstly, I guess this whole volume is about, like, the North God style, right? So, like, we've seen obviously we've seen the Sword God style in, like, every volume, because we're at the Sword Sanctum and everything. We've briefly... we hear about the Water God style. We've heard like Orsted use it. We've trained with Isolt. The Water God has been
much
played
less.
Yeah,
we've seen it in Orsted maybe, but we've experienced the North God more because we've had, particularly in depth, like fight with one of the North God saints. I think he was back in the good old Great Forest.
Yeah,
we also have like.
And Paul
lying
well.
Also on the North God style when he gets down to it. So yeah,
and we did train with Auber a little bit.
Yes,
so it was very.
It is like more like
go ahead.
Yeah, but I thought this one was like, okay, this is what they're really. I would just say the Sword God style is definitely the most lame, right? If I was learning one, I would like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's because I haven't seen initially. Also, then the anime, the sort of like that was so cool. But the fact that that's like their only move is boring, right?
Yep.
Okay, you got one really good move, but come on, you got to spice it up. The North God style is the complete opposite. This guy is like teleporting.
He's using everything. There's a guy with shiny armor.
Putting out holes. He's awesome, and I love like Rudius was like he's popping out as soon as I use a spell. He's going to turn around to me, right? But
God, no, it's so cool, Bacon. When he's like, Orva's going to be there, and he turns around and he is there, and it's like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then he's like, dude, he was like in a hole. I didn't notice him, right? But like, I love how Rudy like uses the way to like intuit. So it's like, yeah, that's when Rudy's good, right? And then he makes and then Orba would have really done a number on him, but then I think he had his gauntlet, right? Did he's Bryson with something?
He like threw, he like
shot his
did a
hand out.
rocket hand. Yeah,
He shot his glove off.
Yeah.
He did his Iron Man thing, and Alba instantly was like, dude, I respect that. That's
Yep.
like, I've never seen that before. That's so cool, and that's what you love. But Alba was really cool. Yeah, and then he does like he just runs like
he throws the pepper at
I'm
Elaine.
out. Yeah.
Very much crazy.
And she like just chomps down on it. She's like, ooh, yummy.
Mm.
They like, and then there's this cool like thing where like I think Eris, he's about to do like a fire attack on Eris, and Rudy just like puts up a water wall,
Oh yeah.
protects her, which is cool.
Then
And then
swaps
he like
the
then
log.
teleports to the cloak. Yeah, swaps to the log, which is yeah, just cool. You're like, oh my word, yeah, this guy is legit. And he gets you invested in a fight because you don't actually know what he's going to do. And I think this is what actually I've kind of realized. What Michigan Tensei does do quite well in his fights. That lots of the time you don't really know what's happening, because it's very good at giving certain characters unpredictability. But then characters that are predictable use them a different way, which we'll kind of talk about later, I think, with the Water God style. But yeah, this was just very cool. Yeah.
Yep, I completely agree. It was very fun seeing the North God style in full display here by a North Emperor. Yeah, I think of the three styles, I think it's very obvious. Water God's the best. It's the coolest. It's just so fun. All you have to do is the best defense. You just by defending yourself, you can do anything.
Ooh, I don't know. I think North God is cooler. But I will say it is Water God. No, the thing is, right? I've only seen the best of the Water God, the coolest Water God so far.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
I've got a very biased perspective, and that is an awesome scene. But only one person does that, right? Like I've not seen other defensive snoozer. I don't know what his old Dre, whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm.
But I got it in. Okay, I read it like different to how you said it. You said like Isolt, but I feel like it's not got a T in there. It's got Isolt.
Oh yes,
Anyway.
there's actually, this is something to say now. Actually, now that I've been reading the official translations are very inconsistent. There's like spelling differences between names, and the one I go to, and maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you can explain it to me. But when they're talking about Ariel, sometimes they spell it as Ariel, and sometimes they spell it as Arille. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is this like a formality, or is this just like a translation?
Second one.
Yeah, it's just everywhere.
I've never seen the second one.
Well, as far I just read it everywhere, and I am reading the official thing. What else is there? There's like a bunch of them that's wrong. Oh, not wrong, but like inconsistent. Who else is there? What's like I don't know what's coming to mind, but there definitely is. It's really
yeah. Okay, I've never noticed that. I mean, I've not read it fully through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, like maybe I know it looks like the translator has like a French name, so maybe they're getting confused between a French version of Ariel and
maybe or maybe I am just reading a wrong version. But we'll see. I guess someone will comment and they'll just.
you're buying on Apple though. You said right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But this one I was just it was just online somewhere. I think for volume 17, part of it.
Okay.
No, but it would have actually. It also would have been in 16 because Ariel was in that a lot. No, actually, it has to be official anyway.
Okay, I didn't notice that at all. It's always been the first one.
Yep, crazy. What were we talking about?
Yeah, so we had the fight, and then we have an interesting moment. I think this was it because basically on the armor they notice that it's like Luke's. It's the Notos clan that has the lion or dragon on it or something, and then Luke kind of breaks down because he realizes his dad is who is the biggest supporter of Ariel, has actually abandoned them, which is a big deal. And this whole time, like, Rudy's like, hang on, does this mean maybe, what's his name? Hold on, I got his name written down, don't remind me.
You got this weekend.
It begins with a P, but it's not Prugus.
Does it?
Getting confused. Yeah.
Yep.
What's his dad's name?
Palemon or Pileman.
Palemon, there you go, yes. Yeah, Palemon, let's call him that. That sounds Paleminus.
True.
Anyway, he's, anyway, so he's like going against them and all that stuff. So, he's like, oh, is he the man god or he's not, right? Yada. And then there's a really, like, interesting, this is when you're like, oh, hold on, we're getting into the weeds here, where, what is it? There's like a moment between Luke and Ariel where it's like, I think Luke starts something. Yeah, so I know I heard that and then Luke just stops. Then Ariel says, don't want to even consider this, but my brother has, and then she stops, and then they're just like, hold up. And then this is the first time I think you hear like this reconciliation they have with each other, where she says, "I'm your princess and I'm your knight." That's kind of like their response. I'm like, "We're sorry you said this," right? And affirming their convictions. But you see some things having some effect here. I don't know if you have anything else to add here.
So there's two things here you're talking about. One is the man god stuff, and one is the actual relationship stuff. I think for the I've mentioned this, I think, when we were talking about Volume 16. I find the intrigue as to whether Luke is the man god, I find it is being influenced by the man god. I find it interesting. Because firstly for the misdirect of like, oh, maybe it's actually Ariel, but also because Luke is struggling in this volume a lot. He has a lot to deal with, okay, with his father, with Rudius, with his relationship with Ariel. If he's being manipulated by the main god, it's all understandable, which is what ends up happening, and it's like, okay, we can forgive him. If he's not being manipulated by the man god, and he is just acting in the way that Luke would act in the situation, where like his father seems to have turned against him, and everyone seems to be doubting him, and then it's kind of sad that we're kind of taking away his agency and blaming it on the man god, and that would have been a sad thing, but it's not. And I think the fact that we don't know until right at the end for certain is, I don't know, it paints, I don't even know how to say it. It makes it a very interesting exploration of his character, I guess, where it's like, you kind of get reframed at the end what is actually going on. I don't actually quite know how to say this. Does any of that make sense to you, Bacon, what I was trying to say there? I don't even know.
I think it makes sense. It's also something I felt.
Okay, yeah.
With it's hard for me with Luke, because I think I mentioned this last time, like, these characters, it's very hard until the end for me to feel like he's human, because you're doing so little from his perspective, and they are hidden behind such a veneer, right? It's like, it's really quite tough to get behind them, like be like really invested and like see from their perspective. And I think it's also because, I mean, I was very convinced that Luke was by the man god, but I had animosity towards him because of it, because I think it's very easy to be like, okay, it's understandable that man god's saying something to him, but he's doing his best, right? Like, it's tough. It's like, it never made me dislike the character. It just made it complex, which is good. Like, and you feel like, okay, there's some, it's tender here, and you have to work with it, right? And it makes it interesting to see how it will turn out. I guess I agree. It helps with your question, but yeah.
No, I'll think more. There's just so much I have to think about Luke. I don't know. We'll see. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
I have a note here about Ariel. I think she's like talking to Rudius, and she frames the Eris-Sylphie relationship as Sylphie being the big sister and Eris being the little sister, which was kind of cute. And I think it makes sense now, but it is also thinking back that if they did meet when they were younger, it probably would have been the opposite, where you would have Eris be the big sister and Sylphie be the one like following her around and like being like the little sister or something, which is kind of interesting to see how much they've kind of changed roles there. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's a really nice. I like that. I didn't know that down, but I thought that was really cool when it came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So next thing, I mentioned this last time, but I'm gonna mention it again. Orsted's introduction. Well, I mean, okay, then we have the whole get with Eris is like Rudius coming back from talking to Orsted, and Eris is Ariel is the only one up, and there's like the second Ariel in the distance, and Rudius like, what's going on here? Ariel, I'm so surprised she's out and about, right? And Ariel's like, oh, here you go. And then this is the moment you're like, oh, is Ariel like with the man god, almost like this is the do or die mode. She's really digging into him. And then she she says, oh, Orsted's with us, right? Or whatever. Well, no, not with us. Like, you're doing this because of Orsted. I think that was it. And then it's like, she's like, yeah, duh. Like, we went to the bloody labyrinth, mate. Like, you just whipped out of nowhere. Of course Orsted is with you, right? Which is just funny. And then I think she also said, it was also all this tension with Luke is based off Rudius like holding back and almost seemed like he knew that Allbear was there, which I thought was interesting because from Luke's perspective, he has every justifiable reason to be a bit wary of Rudeus at this point because he's been whispered to, but he doesn't know about Owlbear. But then Rudeus seemed to knew that all such a big thing, right? Yeah, like Luke can sniff that, everybody can sniff that, but not everybody has the innate trust of Rudeus that, and Luke is going to be the most skeptical. So it makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. Then during this conversation, they're also just like merges out of the shadows. And then Ariel, I guess, she just pees herself, right? Was that it, or does she like?
Yeah.
Does she just go over the edge? It basically,
she freaks out.
Yeah. Does she climax?
Oh yeah, probably also at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought, okay, I wrote this line, man, this is such a cool entrance. And then like I read the next line, like I typed this out and they go back and I said like she has wetted herself and every time I was like, huh. But I actually think it's really cool and I love to see that expanded upon because she has like, I don't know, it reminds me of a character from Overlord, which is also a blonde-haired princess girl that has like a menacing bad side. But I think it's just interesting because it's like, I don't know why, but it kind of confirms to me that there must be like a blessed child thing with Ariel, right? Somehow counteracting it. But also there's something like, I don't know, it tells you, I feel like it tells you so much about her character that she has such a unique interaction with that. But then it also like, I don't know her well enough to make any strong indications of it. I think maybe it's like she respects the overwhelming amount of power and it's almost amazing to her. But then like, I don't know, she didn't get that experience really in front of, I mean, it like breaks, I don't know, it's such a raw expression. It's hard to really see it from Ariel. So I thought that was really cool.
Sure.
There's a lot about, it's almost like you trying to describe something about it. It's like, despite being a bit gross, like the fact that it was very different is interesting. So, yeah. And then she recuperates.
It's definitely the most unique of the reactions to Orsted so far.
Yeah. And then she recuperates, right? And she has a conversation with him face to face, right? She's not sweating. She like instantly, that was incredible. I thought, anyways, it's really fascinating. It's like, oh my word, okay, this is interesting. And then you have Ariel on your side. And I thought this was like, oh yeah, here we go. This is cool. Like, I didn't realize how much I wanted someone else on Rudy's side with this Orsted stuff, right?
Yeah.
Help them out. And she's so useful, right? Particularly with Luke, but also just later on. But yeah, Orsted being called by being called the devil, that was a sad moment. I think she called him the devil, like
making it feel like the devil.
No, not my baby boy Orsted.
Yeah, poor
Orsted. And then I love that. Yeah, never. The guy wouldn't hurt any babies, I'm sure. And so we have the whole like, we just like, well, now I've got a co-worker at Orsted Incorporated. I'm like, this is the best guy. I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's so great. There was a thing where he talked about like union or like they're going to form a union or something. That was funny.
Yeah. When Orsted doesn't give them good pay or whatever.
Yeah, true.
Or like he's hiding stuff. It's like, oh, we can make a union. We have to make a union out of this. File a complaint. But yeah. And then after this, I mean,
wait, in this conversation, I have some stuff.
Yeah.
Firstly, Ariel using Rudeus as a lie detector by looking at his face is, firstly, it's two things. One, it's funny, but also it is kind of like interesting that Rudy is a very bad liar. Because, we only see his lies from his perspective usually, so to see other people just reading him like that is kind of funny.
Yeah. I mentioned this last time, but he's got that like readable face kind of vibe. So,
yep.
Last time, I mean this time, I mentioned.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, same recording. Yeah. The other thing is we get a little bit of lore here about Orsted saying that if, like, in the future, there's going to be like something that's going to happen to Azura. They're going to be like wars and stuff, and if the nation turns to military or armies, then it's going to fall. But if it turns to its mages, then it's going to endure. And Ariel will take it down the path of mages, and her brother will take it down the line of armies. So, interesting lore stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Then,
no, that was cool.
Then they head to, I don't know what note is going to be first, but they head to Triss. Like, we have the Triss stuff, Tristina, Purple Horse or House, whatever you want to call it. Anything on this vacant?
Yes, when they go to talk to Triss. This is when I was initially like, oh man, it's really cool that we've got... So Triss comes in. There's a load of really cool interactions here. So first Triss comes in, she barges in. She's like, wait mate, don't waste my time. Kind of vibe. And then she's like getting all she comes in big dog. I mean, there was a whole cool interaction when, like, before when Rudius is like, I know the gang signs, baby. And I think
Eris
did something behind him was like, what? Eris like, oh, he's so cool. Like, yes, boy, Chad Rudius. I love him. That was cool. And then, what was it? Then she barges in and she's like being quite disrespectful to Rudius. And Rudius is like, I love it because he's like trying to control the conversation, I think. And she's like being hot-headed. And then eventually, like, you hear, like, in the corner, you can hear the gentle tapping against the sword hilt. And like, she looks at Eris and she's like, oh, geez, okay, I'm going to pay attention now. You know, like, I'm going to, get in line. And I thought, I thought Triss was going to become a bit more of a recurring character. And I do think this is not the first time I've seen, what is it? A bandit thief called Triss. I thought it was interesting. Triss.
Wait, that's a story? All right.
No, in general. Like in like loads of media, I think. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's a good name. Anyway.
Rudy does point out about the name. Like, I don't know if it's like a reference or something, but he says like, oh, would Tristina shorten her name to Triss? And I was like, yeah, obviously. Like, why wouldn't she? Now I don't know if maybe it's like a Japanese translation thing where it's something different there, but crazy.
Yeah, maybe. Then Rudius is doing his classic, and this happens like, and the more I think about it, the more I've seen like, oh yeah, this happens all the time. He's just going full on deep thought mode, and he's just getting stuck in his thoughts. I imagine every single time he does this, he has like his finger on his like, he has his hand on his chin thinking, which is like a very common pose he does in the anime when he's like, I imagine he's like, I know he doesn't really hold it anymore because I think he's with a Gatling gun, but he's got his aqua thingy. He's like thinking, and he's like holding it. It happens so much in the anime. It's like a pose that's ingrained in my mind. Yeah. So as he's thinking, he's about to come to his conclusion, then out comes Ero, and Ero's like, Tristina? And they're like, oh my word, we're best buds now. And I was just like, oh my word, Ero is the good. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's very competent, you know. It's it's a very interesting way to show where Rudy is not as strong at. And it's a very interesting conversation because Ero is like half genuine and half not. And it's like, Rudy is giving like commentary on like, well, that seemed like a very genuine comment, but it's also very charismatic until whatever. Like, he's clearly using that. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think Ero clearly knows he's using her as a pawn, but also does actually care about her plight, which I thought was interesting. So,
yeah, we haven't seen any. Now you can correct me. Maybe you remember. I don't think we've seen any Ariel perspective chapters. So it is a little bit like we don't quite know how sinister she is. Or like, not sinister, I guess, how Machiavellian or whatever, like where she's using all the things to her advantage and how much she genuinely cares. I think it's pretty clear that she genuinely cares about Luke and Sylphie, obviously, and the people in the past. You know, she cried reading the Derek stuff, and I'm sure she cares about the people who fought for her. But we don't know, like, how much she does care about people like Triss and I guess anyone else she runs into.
Yeah.
So yeah. At this point, Bacon, there's something to say about this volume until we get to like the I guess the Perugia scene, like that whole the Darius or Darius scene, everything goes very well. All the fights are going well. This interaction with Triss is going well. They're making it to the capital with very minimal issues, and it kind of. And also, I guess also at the beginning of the volume, I don't know how much you remember this, but I even have a note on it. They mentioned a lot of they mentioned turning points and talking about how can't see past like turning points and stuff like that. And there's a few references to like.
It's very nice because it's like,
yeah.
Funny, we haven't had turning point 5 yet. Yeah.
It feels like when I was reading this, I can't say for the first time, but rereading it here, to me, it feels like this is all leading you into a false sense of security where it's like everything is going very well. And they are mentioning turning points, but maybe it's all going to work out for once. And it's kind of leading you to the path where, oh my gosh, maybe there is going to be a plot twist, and it is going to all end in tragedy, and this is like a big deal because we have everyone here. There's so many characters in this this volume that are all in one location, and people could die here, and but no, it generally works out toward the end. But it was kind of interesting to see how for the. Like maybe 2/3 of this volume, everything goes very well for them. There's very little issue.
Yeah, there's been many times where I'm like, I wish I had that button, which when you press it goes, that was easy.
Yep.
That was easy. Yeah. Like, yeah, that was something about that.
All right. Well, My next note is about Rudy and Ghislaine's relationship being so cute. Now, we talked about this already a little bit earlier, but it's cute because she's obviously way older than him, at least in this world. But she thinks of him as both a clever kid who is like using very clever tricks and, you know, is the young Rudius that we remember when they were younger. But at the same time, she sees him as a mentor figure and a tutor and someone who taught her how to read and write and have arithmetic and all that. And at the same time, she is also his sword master, like teaching him how to fight and everything. It's just an interesting dynamic where it's like they're both teacher and student to each other. And they've known each other for a long time. And this is, I think, the scene where she mentions making the figurine, and she's like, 10 years later, you know, she still remembers, and that's very cute. Yeah. Cute relationship, basically. But we don't get too much of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agreed. Good.
All right.
Anything more to add?
Yep. Then we have Aaron.
Okay. I guess there's something I forgot, like, about, and then it was mentioning again, like, I guess that is true about Ghislaine. Pog.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So, Eris, okay. Firstly, when they find out that, I don't remember how they find out, but they find out that Darius was responsible for the death of Soros. And Eris is like listening, but she's pretending not to be interested, but clearly she is, and she's like gripping the sword and her knuckles are going white or whatever. That's I like that. That was very nice. Then they enter the capital, and oh my god, Bacon. Who knew that Eris was a genius? She pretended not to recognize Isolde. She runs up to her and she's like, oh my god, Eris, it's you. And Eris is like, who are you? And Isolde is like, she's saddened about it. And then Eris is like, I'm just kidding. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't know that Eris had like the mental capacity to make such like a complex joke like this. This is crazy. So good on her. I was dying laughing, Bacon.
Yeah, it was good.
Yep.
You know what, I was complaining earlier about all this, you know, battle armor. You know,
true.
They don't have their female characters armored up.
Oh boy,
Isolde is like a kid from head to toe. So,
yep, very crazy. I mean, she is all about defense, right? The water god style. Yeah. But yep, this is also, we had a little bit more characterization of Isolde here, where Rudius sees her for the first time and says that, you know, she looks like the quiet type, but she won't stop talking. And I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. And then she goes, and then Luke, being just ever lovely, you know, as a person, is very nice. Says, "Oh, how is it going? I hope you'll be great. Love, pleasure to meet you." Lovely. And then she goes, "Well, I was like, that's Rudius, right?" Well, utter bastard, you know. And it's quite funny. And I'm just like, I love this trope of everybody just like and it's so done so many times so well in Mushoku Tensei, where it's like, oh boy, they don't know my boy Rudy. They don't know he's in the room. Just what he tells them. You know, he's like underestimated, you know, a couple of times. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait till he cooks them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that was a fun thing. And then it was resolved later on quite nicely. But yeah, that was a cool bit. Yeah.
All right, Bacon. Now, I don't know what other notes are. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so what I also like, so I actually haven't made any notes on this part, but you reminded me. This is great. Also like that this scene, it isn't over. You know about Isolde, and you know that I think she's beaten Eris in all the fights, and you're just like, all their duels. It's like, hold up. They're going to be on the same team. They can't acknowledge it. They're going to be on different teams here. You know, like they're going to be fighting against each other. And so that's like a Chekhov's gun now. Like, ooh, okay, that's on the wall now. Where's that trick going to be pulled? Yeah, there's a bit of like good tension there, which I quite liked.
Very true. Actually, this is, I'm probably going to forget to say it, but so we should say it now. This feels like the first time since the Orsted fight that we've seen Eris struggle and actually get really injured in a fight with the North God and everything, North Emperor and everything.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. Because up until this point, it's like everyone is just like so scared of her, and like she's beating Rudy in all the fights, and she's like, no one is a challenge to her, but now the North Emperor is like, beating her up and everything, and crazy. But Bacon, the next big thing I have a note on is Perugius's grand arrival. Like the flaming pillars, everyone talking about there's no way. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Hold on, we got to. Don't they have way before this the fight at the night with Orba, right?
Oh yes, true, they do. Yeah.
You can't overlook this is another great fight with Orba.
Yeah.
He's just looking around. And then what was it? I was like, yeah, I was basically really just like, oh, I've seen him on the wall here. He's doing his like everyone we have Attack on Titan. I was like imagining like they're in like Reiner's hiding in the wall there kind of vibe. And it's like, oh, it's like they're trying to take back Shinganshina and all this stuff. That's what I'm imagining. And really is like, okay, I'm gonna point my thing right towards him and smash into him, and he gets his leg.
Yep.
Which is big. Right? This is crazy. But yeah, anyway, like that's just a crazy moment. But I was so sure he's gonna miss because everybody's got his classic like, yeah, I got him. I want to hit him. And then it's like, oh no, you dodged. But I thought he would have Orba would have seen it coming towards him. But anyway, that was interesting.
But it was
he had these other two guys.
How did you dodge it?
Yeah, they had these other two guys where they get kind of Eris needs a big heal, but they're like it's only Saint tier because they split or something and they're both dead. They're pretty relevant. But then Disco Ball turns into big,
a Batman or something.
Into Batman basically. And then I mentioned earlier the cool bit where Worcester kills him, but then you don't see it.
Yeah,
that kind of leads into the next day. Yeah, that leads into the next day where this is so classic villain monologue where Orba comes up and says hello to Rudy and it's spicy.
And he's healed and everything, and it's the world crazy.
Yeah. And then you have all the politics. I mean, I loved it. Politics was fun. Orba's a great antagonist. They were great fights. But yeah, what was it? You have first Darius make a presentation. Oh yeah, this is what I'm thinking. All the time it's Darius versus Ariel, and then Darius gets destroyed because and I love there's some funny notes. It's as Trish was telling her story, was burst into tears, probably because of Ariel's request or something like that. I just thought it was funny. It's these nerves are blubbering on and making everybody cry and very, very sad. And then Darius is don't worry, I've got your father. He proved that, Trish was dead a couple of days ago. And then Chad, Fritius, had turned against him. And I was like, okay, this is so, not even cliche, but it's going to be so easy at some point. But yeah, he's a Chad. He stands up for his daughter. He's got at least one good bird inside him after setting her off, whatever. Right? Then you have this whole that was easy. And then you have Grabble turn up. Grabble's yeah, I'm going to beat you. And then Ariel's just well, beat my next person. And then you could
wait with the with the Grabel, that's how I pronounce it. It sounds more aristocratic and epic.
Yeah,
so when he shows up, I like the disarming nature of him saying that yes, Darius has done some bad stuff, but I'm sure everyone in here has done some bad stuff, and we know it's true. Everyone in there almost certainly has done bad things, and
it's been talked about multiple times how bad these nobles are, right?
Yeah, and he's cutting through the bullshit, which is kind of would make usually you'd be on his side. You'd be oh yeah, I mean what? Why are we supporting Ariel? She's probably done stuff like this too, or at least endorsed it. So I don't know. That was kind of cool and interesting dynamic. But yes, we do get the grand entrance of one of my favorite characters in all of Mushoku Tensei, the Armored Dragon King Perugius. I love Perugius Bacon.
I'm surprised it's you haven't.
Right. It's not my favorite, magnanimous, but it's because there's a lot about him. We talked about it a little bit last time.
Yeah.
It's the
I'm just trying to wind you up a little bit.
No. We got. I'm going to say it again. Okay, we got the magnanimity of Perugius. We got the love of art. Okay, and his connection with Zenoba. We got the constant amusement by, I guess, throughout this entire interaction too, where he's constantly looking around. I was what are you going to do, Rudy Escredo? I'm interested to see what you're going to do. All that kind of stuff is fun. His challenging of Ariel, that's always fun. The fact that he is a king, but he chooses not to be a king. He could very well take the power, but he kind of fought alongside his 3 or 2 friends that died, and now he's dedicated his life to avenging them and beating Laplace when he comes back. The fact that he actually no, I'll stop there. It's interesting. Perugius has a lot of elements to him. Okay, I'll say this every time he's mentioned because we love him so much. Anyway, he arrives Bacon. Okay, the flaming pillars, he brings the entire castle, which is so crazy. And everyone's looking up. It's oh, he's going to smash into the roofs. That's how low it is. And Basically, it's just the grandest, coolest entrance, and all
I just imagine it like
there.
clearing in like a massive like Boeing jet, like
Sure.
stops, and then it's like, and then apparently I think it's Sophie that made the theatrics, and then like Rudy's like, oh, he comes in, but he's not nearly as good as his picture on his wall or whatever.
True, yeah, it's been time, and he's old. Yeah. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the fact that it's just the build up as well, where it's like these people who are thinking of Perugius as a king, they have portraits of him on the wall, and they're all like, "There's no way he's coming. He can't be here. He's coming? Oh my gosh!" And they're all kind of excited, but also scared, and like, "Oh, it's this."
Yeah, because it's like, imagine if Taylor Swift went up in like her jet that
what a great analogy.
And she goes away for 400 years. No, she goes away for 10 years. She's not released one of many albums, and then she comes back down. I'm going to give a new banger of an album. I'm not a Swiftie, but just imagine, this is like what I'm imagining. Like everybody's like, "Oh my word, what is he like? I'm so scared." But it's like a moment in history, right? Like Laser's face, like 400 years. Like I get to see it.
He is a legend.
Like, I don't know.
Like I think even in this, they call him like, one of the 3 God Slayers is here or something, because he was there. He was in the final battle with LaFarce. He was like the one who sealed him away. It's crazy.
Which is, in retrospect, just how crazy Luke and Ariel, their reactions were so small compared to, the rest of these people. Like they were so more.
Well, they had to kind of. They expected it. They prepared for it. They had to be ready. But these guys are like, there's no way this guy's coming here.
Yeah, I think it also it breaks through the. It's so fake. We mentioned the tears bursting earlier, and then everybody's kind of like going, and there's some genuineness in this, but there's not. But this is like a genuine reaction from everybody. Yeah. Like it breaks through Grabble, breaks through Darius, all this stuff.
Yep.
Apart from Ariel, right? So yeah.
God, it's so cool. But that, and then even everything around Perugius is so good in this. When he comes down, and then he doesn't. There's like the subtle politic like language going on here where he never says, "Oh, I'm endorsing Ariel" or anything, but he's like, "Where do I sit?" Like there's 3 people who are standing, and there's like one chair at the seat of the table, and everyone is obviously like, Perugius should sit there. But he's like, "Oh no, it's not my party or whatever." Like I shouldn't.
I've been here for I've not been here for so long. Oh, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Ariel, how about you sit there?
Yep. Right. But he doesn't even say that. He's like, just the order that he says the names. He's like, "Oh, Ariel, Grabel, which one of you do you think should sit here?" And everyone knows by the order of what he said that he's supporting Ariel here implicitly. That was it. It's stuff like that.
Which is what he hates, right? For the first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
He just absolutely despises it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
he's good at it.
Then from here, then you have the I think Darius that calls from the crowd, and then the whole Chandelier smashes, and then Ryder's here, whatever. What was it? What Rita? I'm calling her Rita.
All right.
However you say her name. And it's like the last card of the man God has been played. And you're like, oh, so cool. And it's like, I love the description of like, I imagine like, I'm always visualizing like a blue sphere around everybody. It's like, she's going to kill everybody. And it's like everything slows down in time, and it's like a couple people, Rudy's included, but she kills a couple people, and then she calls out a few names, and it's like almost spine tingling when she like talks to one person, or Rudy is grey rat as well. I'm like, oh my word, okay, hold on a second, I didn't realize it's that big a deal. One thing we haven't actually talked about so far is every single time Darius looks at Rudy, he like shrieks in terror.
Yeah,
I thought that was thing as well.
Yeah.
He's like it's like a grey robed coat. It's like he should be worried of. Anyway, it's just very interesting. And then Rita had this whole thing where you're just like, oh my word, she's got everybody within their grasp, and everybody's like freaking out. Rudy's freaking out, and Perugius is just sitting there watching Rudy and just like, what is going on inside this guy's head? I actually really want to know, and I still don't really understand. Maybe you can illuminate me while spoiling, but maybe you just have your own interpretations. I don't know.
Of what Perugius
what do you think of this whole kind? Yeah, just this whole situation. Like, okay, this was like, we haven't seen the Water God style yet, and it's just so cool. This whole like sets it up her danger zone, whatever it's called.
I think it's so cool. I just think it's so cool. There's not much to say beyond that. Like, it's firstly in terms of like lore and stuff and techniques, it's just so cool that like once she's in position, there's like nothing you can do. It is, and she can't attack you unless you do something. it's like as long as you just sit there, she's not going to do anything, right? If you're in her range, you have to kind of move, and then she can respond. She will get. So all these characters are kind of stuck here because they can't move. But if they do stay still, they'd probably survive. But there's also things like Perugia sending was it Almanfi, I think? Like he just like teleports in the strong Almanfi that like Elaine to like stalemate, instantly just gets destroyed.
That was I love it when it's like that house scaling when you're just like, oh, that's how strong. Like Almanfi, the guy that you're like terrified because they summoned him at the wrong time. He turned up at the beginning, like, you know, right? Like, that was crazy. Yeah, he moves at the speed of light, right? Like, how fast he is. So it's like, let's put the fastest character in the series that we know so far. I assume he's the fastest in raw speed. Maybe he's not, but he like travels at the fast rate. So, crazy.
What else is there? The Perugius interesting. I think he just finds Rudius amusing. He's like a strange person, and he's like, how are you going to react in this situation? I think that's really what it is. I think there's more to it.
Yeah,
but I guess we'll see. Yep, cool. We get a little bit of lore for like the water god style, talking about how like there's other water gods, or there have been other water god capable people out there, because they've mastered 3 of the 5 techniques of the water god, but she's mastered the most powerful of them. 4? Is it 3 out of the 4?
No. Yeah, she's the first one to only do 3. But the reason why she's still hard is because she mastered the 3 hardest ones.
Yes, and she like
made her own style.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Which I think is a consistent thing of like what makes a really strong swordman in this world is like you've made your own path. But even with someone like Paul, right? He's average, intermediate, whatever. Yeah. He's still really good, actually. He's actually like, in terms of swordman, he's probably saint overall, right? Like
almost certainly,
right? Like, but he was actually technically only average, but he was able to actually put. There's been a strong point of like, I mean, even in this thing with like Ghislaine knows how to use. She's smarter in battle than Eris is, but even like Nina compared to, you know, like she just practices her one move the whole time, but like that's not actually like all these North God, all these sword god styles are like they're not used to the actual fighting zone. That's why when Eris tells it for the first time and beats them because she doesn't play by the rules because there are no rules when you duel someone to the death, right? Like that's just not how it works. So yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. One more thing. You briefly mentioned that I think Ryder, not Rita, Ryder. She mentions Rudius. It's kind of interesting to think about the legend of Quagmire Rudius. So Rudius has had like these legends that's kind of been building up slowly, where in Volume 7 he like goes and becomes an adventurer on his own as he's like in his depression, and he like joins with Soldat. And he like fights that red worm dragon thing, and builds like a reputation as like this crazy adventurer who took down a dragon solo and everything. And then later on he goes to the University of Magic, and he like unintentionally builds a reputation of this like crazy, fierce, dangerous mage who is like taking control of the university. And now this has gotten around to the world, and like people like Ryder are like, oh, your Quagmire Rudius, and it's like first he has a nickname unintentionally, so and the fact that people around the world know him is kind of fun as well. Triss as well. I think she knew him as well, right? She's just like, oh, you're the one from the university or something, and yep, crazy, but yep, we have to go very soon, Bacon.
No. Okay. Next, you had your Perugia scene. I'll have my Orsted scene.
All right, go on. Wait a minute. We'll get there. One more thing. Let me quickly go through my notes quickly. Number 1, the fact that when Ryder is basically everyone's frozen and she commands like North Emperor Orba to go kill, like she names a few people, and then she sees that he's hesitating at killing Eris, and she's like, oh, even your like, I don't know, trickery or cowardly people like you still want to play the swordsman for your students. And it's like, oh, cute. Like he doesn't want to kill Eris, or he's like, he wants to kind of show off to Eris, and that's like his student. And it's like, oh, that's really cute. And it also...
Panic in this moment was amazing. Yeah. Actually, I think it was really character defining for him. This is like actually where Orb becomes a really good character. I forget all the little bits, but it's like there's this moment when he's like trying to... It's like, it's quite character defining. Like, does he want to go through with this? Or like he's like, you're being a maniac right now. Like you're getting us both killed. I don't want to die.
Bacon, go ahead. Orsted.
Yeah, it's just like it's like the opposite of like no one sees a giant awesome castle come down. It's like so contrasted so well with Perugus. It just feels something like you always know he's there. You know he's coming. You just don't know when and how it's going to turn out. And then this is like everybody's terrified. And then he comes in. Rita has like this thing where she's like, and he's just blocking every shot
with his hand.
Kills her. That walks out. Yeah, with his hand. He just goes, bye bye. I'm gone. And you're just like, oh my god, this guy is so cool. He's so OP. Like it's in like the coolest way, but also the most sad way because everybody hates him now. Right? He literally saved all their lives. They're like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. Right? And then it just all breaks loose from there. It's Aldre's like carrying her, but then she always thinks, oh, can I go after him? But she's too late. All this stuff, right? So that's
Jesus. I also agree. When I was reading this, I was like, I'm so curious to see how well they describe it in the light novel, because in the web novel it was also really well done. I think they did this very well. But it is so cool. It's like, first I think they describe like the beads of sweat and the trembling of everyone. It's like, what's going on here? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yeah. The fact also, I don't think you mentioned this, but maybe you did. But the fact that Rita she's resigning to her death immediately as soon as she realizes Orsted's coming. I was like, I'm gonna die. Like there's. It's a shame. It's just so cool that she's immediately like, oh, there's nothing I can do here. That was great.
Then she explains her background and how the man god convinced her. It's like she's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. She's like, it's almost like an Askeladd final scene where it's like she's gone mad and she's happy to play that part of being the mad, crazy person. We'll see this a bit later, like in front of the politics. But like, she's like, yeah, this guy, well, what happens when you have a guy who helps you out when you're younger and then you want to go help him later and he's turned out to be an absolute pig and the worst person ever? She's just so blunt. And I'm like, it's amazing how in her last moment, you're like, oh, I feel kind of bad for you.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, oh man, like this is really unnecessary. But then she resigned herself to keep on doing it. It's like, it feels completely unnecessary and very tragic.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's like,
she kind of felt like she urged Darius, even though she probably did, but like she didn't have to go and do this,
No.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't a good guy, and she seemed like
no.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, and then we go on after.
Wait,
Darius, and you have
one more thing. I have a line that I quoted. I said, "The blade struck at him." With a golden flash briefly connecting them with an illusionary yellow string. I thought that was really cool. That was the visual I remembered from the web novel where I'm like, oh, this like golden, because she has a golden sword and obviously they're clashing, and I was like, oh, I can't, this, Bacon, I'll say it here. I can't wait to see this animated, okay? I want to see really cool Sakuga here, okay? I want to see like when Ruijerd is fighting Orsted in Turning Point 2. I want to see that kind of stuff here, okay? Because it's so cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there's definitely a couple moments from like, dude, just say the Sakuga.
Oh,
those moments.
There's
a lot of great fights here.
For one more thing, briefly, there's also a more general thing to say about this volume, which is that we bring back two of Eris's like past teachers, but we bring them back as villains. It's kind of funny, and especially because when I'm reading those past chapters, I know that they're coming back as villains. So I'm like, oh, this is so cool to see them in another context. Because the main thing I remember them from is like from volume 17, obviously. So to see them interact as like nice people back in the past is kind of funny. But yeah.
Well, I think it's also like even when I was reading them there, I was kind of like, oh yeah, these guys are going to be big deals later on. And somehow I was like, yeah, they are. Then you have the Darius and Orba fight. There's a lot of interesting little bits here that goes on, like Eris was dying. It really is. I mean, to be fair, it's interesting. Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, there's a couple things where like, it's like, also it's like, here's the best healing scrolls ever. You may need.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, okay, that's going to be used, kind of thing. But I think what I liked about this fight, I mean, that was one thing I mentioned earlier where, like, Eris was a bit annoyed that Rudy was able to dodge his Orba's attack. But then, like, Darius also, like maiming them from the background, like, you're like, oh, this idiot, like, he's so lucky he's alive. What is he doing? But I think the coolest part was that, like, they tie him up and then Darius starts yapping and be like, yeah, I actually saved him,
Yeah.
Whatever. And then he starts bad-mouthing Saurus, and you're like, you absolutely...
Yeah.
And then Ghislaine gets to kill him. Because, Darius mentions, like, oh, it's the God told me that I would be killed by this mage or whatever. But it actually shows that, like, in this instance, the man god's so blind that
Yep.
he misses the fact that even Ghislaine's just going to come, like, Rudis doesn't kill him at all. So I thought it was cool.
Yep. Yeah. It was also kind of interesting to hear Darius talk and be like, he probably does believe this. Like, I don't think he's manipulating them in this moment where he's being desperate. It's just like, he just says the wrong thing here about Zoros, and it's kind of funny. And he's also not like, even Rudius talks about how, like, Darius is probably right in that if he wasn't funding the Vitor rescue squad, then someone worse probably would have come along, and Vitor would be in a worse state than he currently is. So he probably did do good for the region that Rudius was born in and everything. But anyway, kind of a mildly interesting thing about Darius. Maybe he's a little bit more complex.
But then this is also the man that, like, would have married Eris in the end, right? Or wanted to try to, and that was like, like, that was when you're like, oh, he's never seen as good from the start. You're like, oh, don't know Darius. Darius sounds like a bad guy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting. I do like that point.
And Rudius.
So,
yep.
Yeah, keep on going.
Well, Rudius thinks of this as his first kill. He doesn't kill him, but he says, for all intents and purposes, I killed him. I was the one who did this. I was the one who split him in half. Blah blah blah. So this is the moment, Bacon, where we were wondering what's Rudius' first kill going to be. Well, it's this, at least from his perspective. Yep. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep.
I wouldn't disagree with this.
Yep. And Orba dies here too. Rest in peace. What a cool guy. What a volume. He fought two Sword Kings and Rudius, and he put up a good fight. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have such short...
There's a really cool line from him earlier when he's like, if it was just the two Sword Kings, it may be okay, but with that maid...
Yeah. As a wild card,
That was quite funny. You never know what he's going to do. Then you have a massive thing, where it's revealed, actually the most important thing, all the names of all the Jura Nobis, which is Purple Horse, Grey Rat, Silver Toad, Blue Wolf, White Spider. So, Ari, which one would you be if you could be? There's like the house if you could be.
I mean, did you say Silver Wolf? Because that sounds very cool.
Silver Toad.
Oh, Silver Toad is way less
and
cool.
White Spider.
Probably White Spider.
No, Silver Toad is what I'd be. No, I'd be Silver Toad. I'm a Silver Toad boy.
Oh, wow.
I imagine it's like the Hufflepuff.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Of the clans, yeah. Anyway, on to the actual important stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something here?
Well, we get a Luke perspective chapter where he's asked to kill his dad, basically. Paul. Please, go ahead, Bacon. You said you like this chapter.
Yeah, I just like it. There's so many little bits, but it's just, I didn't make any notes at this point. I think one of the coolest things initially is that you walk in and it's like, you don't give it any of the context. And you're like, why is he holding people? And it's kind of like, it's like, so if he killed Rudy or kill me or whatever, choose between Rudy or me or whatever. Then you go through all the back story and it's like, I love it where it's like so emotionally driven, where it's like really, he knows it's complete BS and you're told from his perspective, he's just saying stuff to argue with her. He's just desperate because in his head, what was his reasoning again?
Well, there's a few things. Is like, firstly, his dad is about to get killed, right? Secondly, he thinks that this all stems from the Orsted stuff. He has seen the horror of Orsted, how like scary and dangerous it is, and he thinks that, and also he's seen like the nice and alluring nature of the man god, and he's just seeing that Ariel is being tricked by this demon like Orsted, and now she's like going to kill my dad because of this, and she's siding with Rudy because of this, and it's all accumulating for him here, and he's like desperate, like you said, and he keeps saying like, I don't know why I'm saying this, and like, what an unfair thing I'm asking Sylphie here, and he's desperate is a good word for it.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's interesting because like it almost suggests that if Peleus didn't go up to her straight away and ask in front of everybody, she would let him live, but now he's gone and pleaded, she has to make like a big deal out of it, which is very interesting. Like, he screwed up. But then it's kind of talked about how like Peleus isn't actually that bad of a guy. He's like the middle child, and he was always looked over. He's just trying to help. Like, he's just not the best, right? It's and that's why he kind of like Luke, I think, because Luke was the second son or something.
Yeah, that's right. He does say that.
And anyway, there's a lot of interesting little bits here. It's like, he wouldn't have been as good as Paul or whatever. Yeah, there's lots of neat stuff here. I quite like Peleus by the end of this, despite not being given a ton of it. And one thing I also loved was Rudy being unable to cover his smug grin, having laughing so hard when Sylphie was like, "I chose Rudy." I think Sylphie. This is a major moment for Sylphie, right? Like, it's like without hesitation, she chooses Rudy, but it's actually such a magnet. I think the magnitude of what she's saying is massive. I know the context of that at the moment. It's being shown to us, and it still like hits really hard. And it is crazy because like Luke looks at him and he's just like, why is Rudy like? Why does he have such a smug grin? Because from Rudy's perspective, he's just like so bewilderingly charmed that like she would like actually choose him over everybody else. That makes his life so much better. But for some reason, on his face, he looks like, she likes me more than you, idiot. Right? I think it's just quite funny. He just has that vibe.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then, you have a really interesting moment where thankfully Luke is able to like be forgiven, and Ariel somehow like says, seems your son is at a fit of madness or whatever, please calm down or whatever.
Over the he's like, his lust for women or something, blah blah blah, but I'm in the mood for being groped. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, she says some nice stuff to save him. I think what I just love most is Luke's perspective. I love when we get a character we have not seen their perspective of and get their actual like raw thoughts, because there's so many things that you don't really know until you see inside their head. And it just help put everything in perspective, which is just really nice.
Very true.
Strong moment for Sylphie too. Yeah, that's great. And then there's another thing later where I liked the fact that like Eris is talking and she's like, oh yeah, we forgive, we don't need to kill Peleus, and then because I'm thinking about it, then Eris like yanks on her tail, which I thought was very cute.
Oh yes, and then later on, Luke's talking about how like, oh, my dad apologized, and I could like no one could hear him, and only I could hear him, but I could hear Eris and Ghislaine. They were talking, and Eris was saying like, oh, Ghislaine, you need to learn to read the room, and he's like, oh, that's certainly an expression that Rudy has taught her, and she probably has no idea what that means, but it was great.
Yeah, very
yeah. But then
you have to go.
Yeah, we have 2 notes. We're gonna go through this quickly. One of them is a big thing, which is about the Ghislaine, Eris, Rudy stuff.
Yeah, one of them is massive. That's not the big thing I was thinking of, but another thing.
Okay, so this is basically this feels like the closing chapter of like a particular part of all these people's lives. Like Sylphie is saying goodbye to Ariel. You have Rudy reflecting on like the little bullied Sylphie and like her friends now and everything, and Ghislaine is saying goodbye to Eris and Rudius, and they're having their like big flashback the big flashback fight with their wooden swords and everything. You have like Eris is fighting Ghislaine and winning this time. Destroying her sword while her sword is only bent. It feels climactic. Not climactic. It feels like the ending of a particular chapter of their lives. It's very emotional. And it's also the most emotional thing is obviously for me when Eris is, Ghislaine is saying goodbye and she's walking away, and as she's walking away, Eris is like, she's trying not to cry, but she's crying on the inside, and then Ghislaine walks away and she can't see her anymore, and Eris can't hold back the crying anymore and like bursts into tears and is crying so loud that everyone can hear. That's cute. I like it a lot.
And then they figure out, we can see each other really quick anyway.
Yep. And like, tell them
nothing.
Yeah.
I think I also really like the Isolde scene, like where she turns up and she's like, I can read on your face that you care about Sylphie because you're thinking she's going back to kill. I care about Eris because she's going back to kill me. She can read on his face that he's thinking all these things. Just another example of Rudy being ever readable.
Yep.
Okay, and then the final thing I think is really big is Orsted being revealed that he's like Subaru from ReZero. Where he's stuck in a time loop and he's got to go all over again and repeat it, and that's why he knows everything, not because he actually has like this special seeing the future. So that's what he actually meant by I see the future as it's written in the past, or whatever he said, which I thought was interesting.
Yep. It is also interesting because it portrays him as kind of more of a failure here, where it's like he has failed at least 100 times before. And he has died before. He says like, if I die at a certain point, then I'll like go back to the beginning. And he had to learn all the skills because of like, he wasn't just born with them. He had to learn them in these hundreds and hundreds of iterations of his lives. He had to learn how to do the water god like technique and all that. So yeah, it's a small but pretty big at the same time reframing of his life. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anything else?
and also like makes it clear how Gray's memory is. It's crazy.
Yeah, true. Which also, yeah, well, actually, we'll talk about this in the future, not now. Yeah. And then we also we get like a small bonus chapter at the end of this, which wasn't in the web novel at all, which is like this drunk guy at a bar having a one-sided conversation. Any thoughts on this, Bacon? Do you remember this?
So foreboding.
True.
Yeah, and he's like talking to his ghost.
Yeah.
Then he's like very coherent, but then he's not coherent.
Mm-hmm.
There's no descriptions of the guy really, right? It's just his attitude and his body language. So I was like, is this the death god? Because I feel like he's coming back into it. Because he had that chat with Rudis and the thing, and he just kind of went away. He was like, okay, well, we will bump into these people again. So like, is that the death god of the sinister? Could it be Laplace early? But then I don't think it. Like, it's very clear that like it's going to be like 80 years from now or something, right? Like that's what Wolfson was saying earlier. I don't think Wolfson will be wrong about that. So anyway, I wasn't sure. I really had no clue who this could be. I don't even know where the bar was in the world. Very, very.
Okay, interesting. That's. I was just curious, you know. All right. Well, with that, we're done. Volumes 16 and 17 of Mushoku Tensei. And I got to go real quick. So thanks for watching. See you next time.
Goodbye.